Part 32. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 314. Um. In the teacher's office, Tianhaize stayed in front of his workstation, with his eyes closed and his voluptuous white thighs folded. She faced the ceiling, shaking the work chair beneath her slightly, as if she was doing nothing or thinking about something. In front of him are the corrected art assignments, a flowering cactus potted plant, and Tsukimi Satokuri, who is sitting at the work desk directly opposite, busy preparing materials for the next Chinese class. The two were high school classmates and could be considered old acquaintances. Xiao Zi has been at school for a week. How do you feel? Tsukimi Ridojing stopped the pen in his hand, looked through the volumes of documents on the workstation, and asked Tianhaize opposite, who seemed to be venting his boredom. Feel it? Tianhaize kept tapping her chin with a gel pen, closing her eyes as if thinking about something. Compared to the students I taught in France, the students here are much more obedient and calm, which is good. Tsukimi Sato-kyung picked up his teacup and smiled. What are the differences between the students in France? It's about the teacher's attitude, Tianhaize said in a relaxed tone while shaking the work chair he was leaning on from side to side. At least I don't have to face a bunch of inexplicable confessions from those brats here every day. They still confess to you. How did those foreign boys confess to you? Tsukimi asked, taking a sip of hot tea. They are very straightforward. Tianhaize closed his eyes and waved his hands in boredom. The ones who are a little more social will directly ask me to go to the bar. The ones who are a little more restrained will write love letters to me and invite me to participate in social activities. They all made it clear that they wanted to pursue me. It seems that Xiaozi is still so popular outside. It's just so. Tianhaize seemed to have remembered something. By the way, Monk Daijing, do you know what happened between Xiao Li, Qi Minjiao, and Julie Yulai? Them. I know a little bit about this. Teacher Tsukimirai looked very helpless after hearing this. You want to ask them about the relationship they showed in school, right? That's right, that's right. The last time we organized a class activity, the two sisters seemed to have a personal grudge. They fought with wooden knives and didn't hold back at all. In the end, when the situation was about to develop to the point where no compromise was possible, it was Xiao who stepped forward to stop it. The two sisters. Xiao Li came up. Tianhaize opened one eye and glanced at the high school classmate directly opposite him. Monk, do you know the relationship between the three of them? I didn't believe it at first, but the relationship between the three of them and the rumors in the school. Even though as a teacher, you shouldn't listen to what is said among students, but from what I have seen so far, then the three children were indeed caught in a love triangle. What's Xiao's attitude towards them? Teacher Tsukimi was confused. Zi, you've been here for a week and haven't you noticed? No, Tianhaize answered truthfully, I have been observing several people this week. Julie Yulai is Xiao Li's girlfriend, but he doesn't seem to want to hurt Qi Minjiao. The three of them are very restrained in school. As a teacher, it's not easy for me to manage this matter. The feelings between my three nephews are really complicated. Tianhaize held the back of his head and looked at the ceiling and thought in his heart. It's been a week, and Xiao Li, Qi Minjiao, and Julie Yulai haven't been seen coming into contact. It stands to reason that if the three of them really have feelings for each other, even if their actions are restricted by the eldest brother, they should have secret meetings. Why didn't the three of them make any movement? Xiao Li didn't even take the initiative to find Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai, who were forcibly transferred to another class. There's something strange about it, it's very strange. Asterisk. The time came to noon. Tianhaize found Tianhai Julie Yulai, who was eating alone on the deserted rooftop. Ruri-chan. Aunt. Tianhaize clasped his hands behind his back and took out a lunch box from behind like a young girl, and sat next to Tianhai Julialai. Why is Aunt here? Tianhaijuli Yulai put down the chopsticks in his hand. I see, Xiao Li Yulai, that you often come to this blocked rooftop alone, so I followed you here. Auntie is not here to inquire about information from me, is she? A little bit. Tianhaize did not deny it and said with a beautiful smile, but more importantly, I feel that Xiao Li Yulai, you often come here to eat on the rooftop alone, which is a bit lonely. We haven't seen each other for a long time, and my aunt is here to accompany you. Tianhaijuli Yulai stayed on Tianhaize's face for a long time, then returned his gaze to the bento he made for himself, and whispered. Thanks. Oh, thank you for nothing. Xiao Li Yulai's bento looks very rich, can we exchange it? Of course Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't refuse at all. Tianhaize and Tianhaijuli Yulai exchanged lunches with each other very familiarly. While talking and laughing, we got closer through some things from our childhood. Xiaju, why do you always come here to have lunch alone? It's very simple. No one is accompanying me. Tianhaijuli Yulai smiled. Xiaju, do you have no friends in school? Yes, Tianhaijuli Yulai replied, but I don't have deep social relations with them, and their understanding of me is only superficial. I can't sit in such a scene and eat with everyone. I understand, Xiaju just has no close friends. Of course, Xiaju's personality outside is also excellent, and she can definitely make very good friends. But she also has another identity, and that is the eldest lady of the Tianhai family. To boys, she is unattainable. For girls, she is so outstanding. Even though she has a good personality externally, there is always a certain distance between people who can get close to her. Although she was assigned to the school by the old man, Tianhaize, as an aunt, could not help but feel heartbroken when she saw her niece often eating lunch alone. Xiaju doesn't look happy. Yeah, there are some. What's the reason? Is it related to Xiao Li? Tianhaijuli Yulai put a piece of small sausage into his mouth, and his voice was much lower. He hasn't taken the initiative to talk to me for a long time. Tianhaize blinked and asked in a gentle voice, Xiaju Mrs. Xiao. Well, Tianhaijuli Yulai piled the food together with chopsticks a little absent-mindedly, although I am embarrassed to admit it. In fact, I often wonder, why doesn't he come to talk to me? Has he been talking to Kyo? Conversation secretly. It can be seen that Xiaju puts Xiao's status very seriously. Tianhaize asked, did you take the initiative to try to find him? I have looked for it, but I have always been stopped by Ling. Now I will probably be stopped by you, Aunt, right? After all, Aunt, you were sent by Grandpa to monitor me and Kyo. Tianhaijuli Yulai said with a smile. This is also true. Tianhaijuli Yulai, I have tried to do a lot of things recently, and even tried to gain some strength through the support of my family. I am confident that I can fight through July. But it seems that this motivation is much weaker now. Tianhaize, is it because Xiao doesn't take the initiative to ask your questions? Well, after all, most of the reasons for confronting Kyo are also because of him. Understood, Tianhaize nodded, but Xiaju, you were just worried about your stomach. Don't you hate Xiao Li? It seems that you already know, and Tianhaijuli Yulai was not too surprised. Yes, I asked your father to know. I was curious about you, Kyo and Xiao before, and I have been collecting information this week. Tianhaijuli Yulai took a small mouthful of rice and said, I don't blame my brother. If you want to ask why, I think this is my own fault. I have wronged him before. That time and even my current situation are all because of only one mistake will lead to the best results. Tianhaize sighed when he heard this. My niece is overly dependent on her mother, overly trusting, and overly obedient to her mother's words. It seems that Xiao Li Yulai has always felt guilty towards Xiao Li because of that incident. Xiaju, do you want to give up now? Give up? No, this is the only one that won't work. Tianhaiza was stunned for a few seconds because of her sudden change of firm tone. What does Xiao look like to you? Auntie, you should understand, right? There is nothing I can control now. Understood. Tianhaiza didn't ask any more questions, and even took the initiative to help Tianhaijuli Yulai relax her mood, and took the initiative to talk to her about life. Quite happy. After the noontime ended and Tianhaijuli Yulai had to go back to class, Tianhaiza looked at the back of her eldest niece leaving the rooftop with some empathy. Xiaju is very pitiful. Asterisk. It's time for school to end in the afternoon again. Tianhai Kaimingyu almost always packs her school bags as soon as she gets out of school, and then leaves school alone by car. As far as Tianhaiza knew, she went directly to her foundation. At the corner of the teaching building, Tianhaiza, who was wearing a pair of sunglasses, stopped Tianhai Chi Minjiao, who was carrying a small school bag and had just left the classroom. Tianhai Kaimingyu's footsteps stopped at the stairs. Looking from bottom to top, you can see her straight and slender black knee-high socks, and her beautiful face that has no emotional ups and downs as usual. Xiaoki. What's the matter with Aunt? I want to talk to you alone. I have a job. You don't have to worry about it now if you have work. Do you have someone over there to help you take care of it? How about going to a coffee shop? Auntie's treat, Tianhaiza said with a smile again. Asterisk. There are several abstract paintings hanging on the walls of the coffee shop outside the school, which are very elegantly decorated. The floor-to-ceiling glass windows blur the boundaries between the inside and outside of the coffee shop, as if people sitting inside can feel the atmosphere of the city outside, and pedestrians outside can also vaguely see the relaxation and enjoyment inside. 2 cups of coffee were brought to the table and chairs made of dark wood by the waiter. In the afternoon, the sun shines in obliquely through the glass curtain wall of the building. Tianhai Kaimingyu silently watched Tianhaiza pick up the coffee and listened to her talk about some useless things about the school. After listening for a while, Tianhai Kaimingyu's voice was cold and she closed her eyes and said, Auntie, if you want to ask anything, just say it. Tianhaiza also stopped in time and looked at his niece's pretty face. It's different when you talk to Xiaoki. Then can you tell Aunt what your feelings are for Xiao? I would like to ask my aunt what she comes to school for. Tianhaiza faced Tianhai Kaimingyu's face with her eyes closed, and the aroma of hot coffee drifted past her nose. She smiled and said, Why did I come to school? Xiaoqi, you are so smart, shouldn't you know? The old man is really angry. Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't answer, she just picked up the coffee in front of her and took a slight sip. Tianhaiza continued, I understand that Grandpa seemed to support you Xiaoki before, right? Now that Grandpa is so angry, he will definitely not support you in this regard. In addition, Xiaju and Ale are the ones who are wise now. As a couple, you are worried about their reputation in school, so Xiaoqi, you are in a weak position. Tianhai Kaimingyu still didn't answer. Have you seen Xiao in the past week? Don't worry, Xiaoki, it's not like you don't know what my aunt is like. I have looked for it, Tianhai Kaimingyu replied. How did he respond to you? Tianhaizi asked. No respond. You took the initiative to find him, but he didn't even respond. The 7 bright moons in the sky expressed their affirmation with silence. What exactly does it look like? He has 3 policies for me right now. He doesn't take the initiative to pay attention, he doesn't take the initiative to respond, and he doesn't take the initiative to speak. What about Xiaju? Tianhai Kaimingyu, same. What's his purpose? Tianhai Kaimingyu was quiet for 2 seconds. It's not that she doesn't know Sakakibara's thoughts. It's that she found a logical loophole in her aunt's words. How could her aunt, who was arranged by her grandfather to supervise her, not know what her brother was thinking? Isn't Aunt the double insurance arranged by Grandpa? Tianhai Kaimingyu paid more attention here and answered the question just now. My brother wants me to reconcile with my sister and be able to have a relationship with him at the same time. After hearing this, Tianhaize spurted out the coffee he had just drank. Tianhai covered her face with a book with an expressionless expression. Scum, scum, Xiao Le is too scum. How dare you say such things to a girl? Although such a Shura field is very interesting. No wonder the old man wanted to break them up. If Xiao Li's idea succeeds, even if it isn't a joke to the entire Tianhai family. Tianhaize understood everything instantly. It turns out that the old man is taking advantage of Xiao Li's idea. Since you have such outrageous behavior, then you might as well not want both of them, and you don't want to be my grandson-in-law. Just listen to my arrangement and become your son-in-law directly. Good guy. The old man, who was not able to force Xiao Le at first, suddenly stood on the moral high ground. Even if Xiao Le wants to resist after knowing the arrangement, the old man will use his words and actions to reject his appeal. The old man also deliberately didn't let Xiao Le know his thoughts, so Zhigzu and Xiao Le hid in the school to develop feelings. As long as there are feelings, Xiao will also feel uneasy about Zhigzu. His old man finally showed off his power and used pressure from all sides to urge Xiao Le and Ji Shui to get married. Combined with the feelings that Xiao and Zhigzu cultivated before. This impeccable. Calm. Tianhaize felt that he should calm down. Auntie is really good at picking opportunities. Tianhai Kaimingyu put down the coffee-stained book. Sorry. Moreover, Tianhaize now realizes that he was used as an oversized shotgun by the old man. Not only did he have to arrange things for his sister and Xiao Le, but he also had to help the old man suppress the resistance of Qi Minjiao and Zhu Liulai at school. The old man didn't need to do anything, he arranged everything clearly behind his back. Brother Bhn was tricked by the old man into something, so he was asked to help take apart Xiao Le, Qi Minjiao and Zhu Liulai. As expected. As expected of an old fox. Emotions can also be turned into business wars and strategies by him. Uncomfortable, very uncomfortable with the arrangement the old man made for me. Tianhaize's mind was racing with thoughts. While wiping the coffee from the corner of his mouth, he sorted out the entire context of the matter without showing a single trace of unnecessary expression to Tianhai Kaimingyu. Xiao Qi. Is Xiao's idea a bit outrageous? Tianhaize sat upright again. That's why my sister and I ended up in this situation, Tianhai Kaimingyu said rationally. Tianhaize is thinking. She could tell that Qi Minjiao didn't know that the old man wanted Zhigzu to marry Xiao. She actually wanted to tell Qi Minjiao, but she couldn't. The old man was really thoughtful and planned out his possible thoughts in advance. Damn it, the more I think about it, the more frustrated I become. Xiao Qi, can you tell your aunt the story of you and Xiao Le? Tianhai Kaimingyu was quiet for a few seconds, and looked at the street outside the window for a long time. When she finally looked back, she didn't refuse. I'll try to be brief. No problem. The story about Xiao Qi and Xiao Le. Tianhaize listened for about an hour and finished. Well. How to say? I was still sympathizing with Xiao Ju at noon, but now I sympathize with Xiao Qi even more. He seemed to be inexplicably caught between the two of them, unable to make a choice. It's uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. Whoever wins or loses is not what my aunt wants to see. Xiao Qi, aunt goes to the bathroom first. Okay. Tianhaize left her seat, and as she walked through the coffee shop to the bathroom, she did not forget to summarize and think about what had just happened. There are currently 4 forces in total. Sakeki Hara music, the 7 bright moons of the sky and the sea, the 9 glass of the sky and the sea, and the snow of the sky and the sea. So, as the aunt and sister of several people, which side should I stand on? Tianhaize couldn't help but think. The big brother's thoughts are unclear at the moment, and there is a high probability that he will not join any team and pass. Xiao Li wants to have both Xiao Qi and Xiao Ju. It's not easy to help. Xiaoju and Xiaoqi want to monopolize Xiao. It's not easy to help either. Yuki likes Xiao Li, but Xiao Li is not interested in her at the moment. This is helpful. At present, Yuki is in good condition, and Xiao Li has no intention of refusing to contact her. Moreover, there is an old man as a backer behind Yuki, so he is the one who benefits the most from helping her. Well, after thinking about it, it turned out that helping Yuki would be the most worry-free. Tianhaize washed his hands and nodded to himself in the mirror. But aren't you just thinking so much in vain? And if you help any one of them, someone will always get hurt, and someone will always become a loser. We are all our good nieces and sisters, and we are all so cute. We can all spend money on our aunt and sister. That kind of situation where they would be sad. No, no. Tianhaize felt that she felt so uncomfortable just thinking about it. Xiaoqi was abandoned. Xiaoju was abandoned. Yuki was abandoned. These are all unforgivable things. That being the case, how about appearing as the fifth force on this battlefield? Secretly help everyone so that everyone can get the happiness they deserve. Wouldn't this happy ending be better? Shouldn't it be admired? After Tianhaize thought about this, he completely understood what he should do. Anyway, the old man was lying in ambush alone, so his behavior of using it as a gun made him very unhappy, so he shouldn't just help so and so alone. You should be independent of everyone's opinions. Achieve the most unique and perfect opinion among all people. You should help everyone to stir this pot of soup to make it more turbid and messy. That's right. I should turn all the current situations upside down. But what to do first? Tianhaize turned off the faucet, looked at Tianhai Kaimingyu outside the window, and thought seriously in her heart about the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 315. In Tokyo's night sky, skyscrapers and neon advertisements complement each other, and high-speed trams and cars shuttle between the buildings. Even at night, the city is still brightly lit. Every time Amami no Yuki puts down her guitar and walks out of the bedroom barefoot, she can see Raku Sakakibara sitting on the balcony overlooking the stars in the corner of the corridor leading to the living room. He seems to be sitting there all the time lately. Tianhai's Higsu scratched the wall and remembered some words that her sister had said to herself. Yuki, remember to take the initiative and take the initiative when pursuing boys, take the initiative to talk to him instead of waiting for him to come to you. Remember, you must show your intimacy to him when he talks to you and takes good care of you. Remember, you must make eye contact with him and look into his eyes motionlessly. No man can resist a girl's serious gaze. Of course, you don't want to show your feelings too obviously. You have to show the closeness of a sister who doesn't know distance. Let him inexplicably want to take care of you, and inexplicably fall into dependence on you for what you ask for from him. Tianhai's Higsu walked out of the corridor. Happy. Yuki. Sakakibara Raku, who was looking at the moon, heard this ethereal call, turned around, and suddenly saw Amami Nazuki, wearing only a home t-shirt, standing behind him. Her long beige hair was spread back, and the moonlight falling through the dark clouds illuminated half of her face. The girl rested one hand on the sliding doorframe, as mysterious and peaceful as a white cat that suddenly appeared on the beam at night. But compared to ordinary white cats, she looks more approachable. Sakakibara smiled and waved to her, and her delicate white hands immediately left the doorframe and came to sit down on the small round stool next to Sakakibara. Reaching out to touch her head, she raised her chin slightly like a cat and closed her eyes. Then he made this soft sound that seemed to be there but not at all. Sakakibara Raku has always felt that Yuki like this is very cute. When he stays with her like this, he gains a rare tranquility and comfort. I want to sleep, Tianhai's Higsu said to him as his head was touched and his moonlight eyes opened slightly. Want to sleep? In Sakakibara's opinion, she wanted to act coquettishly again. Are you tired from studying and practicing piano in the afternoon? Then move your stool over. Amami no Yuki looked at Sakakibara Raku's face for a while, then moved her stool. After reaching a certain distance, she gently rested her head on his lap and closed her eyes. From this angle, Sakakibara could clearly see her beautiful side face and the messy tufts of hair next to her little ears. Her head was resting closer to the inside, so her hands were folded and resting on his knees. It really looks like a cat looking for a spoiled brat from its owner. Sakakibara thought so in his heart, stroking her head and hair with his hands. Because of her closeness, he could also smell the unique fragrance of her 16-year-old girl. How long are you going to sleep for? When the bell comes back. Okay. The plane departing from Haneda Airport flew across the night sky, and more than 10 minutes passed quietly while listening to the sounds of the city outside the balcony. Happy. Huh. Raku Sakakihara was still stroking the girl's hair with his hands, and retracted his gaze to look at the plane's wake in the night sky. Yuki, aren't you asleep? Woke up. Your excuse is so lame, you must not have slept in the first place. How did Le know? Who makes you keep rubbing against me? Amami turned over and looked at Sakakihara Raku's chin from bottom to top. In the girl's eyes, his face seemed to be shrouded in a layer of brilliant colors by the moonlight, attracting the gaze dimly. And Sakakihara Raku also noticed the way she looked at him. Still as dumb as ever. Want to hug? Then you hug me. Tianhai's Higsu didn't move. I still want to sleep with you at night. You're going too far, aren't you? This won't work. It's going to be cold at night. Then cover yourself with more quilts. The music will be cold too. I will also put on more quilts. I really don't know how to appreciate it, Tianhai's Higsu muttered, but his face was expressionless. Raku Sakakihara was silent for a long time, then asked with shame, another line you learned from TV? Yes, Tianhai's Higsu nodded lightly. Raku Sakakibara now wondered if Yuki had been taught such lines by Suzu's bloody TV series. I still want to sleep together. No, it's okay. If you say no, it won't be okay. Tianhai's Higsu deliberately pouted and looked unhappy. At this time, Yuki looks more like a cat. Cats also like to get into the bed. Even if they are kicked out of the bed by the scruff of the neck, they will still sneak into the bed as always. Suzuya said she wanted to sleep with Raku. Can she tell you this? Sakakihara felt incredible. I said it secretly. It seems that Aling really regards Higsu as a good friend, and she can tell Higsu this deeply hidden private thought. Sakakibara Raku, well, Yuki, you see what Suzu thinks. Did you come to see me at night? No. That's it, you have to learn from Aling. But Ling said she'd drilled it before. Maybe Yuki shouldn't have been allowed to learn from Aling before. What should I do if I learn another brother control? Yuki's current symptoms are more severe than Aling's, and because of her personality, she is always straightforward in her coquettish behavior. Happy. Okay, stop rolling on my lap. Want to hug? No. It was okay just now. Not now. I really want to be hugged. Now that Yuki is lying on his knees like this and watching her tell him that she wants to be hugged at close range, Sakakibara also has an inexplicable psychology, wanting to hug her and get warm and comfortable feelings from her. Feel. And the more suppressed this idea is, the more powerful it becomes. Her intimacy, her breath, her lovely notes and words on his lap became more intense under the moonlight. I want my brother to hug me, Tianhai's Higsu pulled the corner of her clothes and whispered to herself again. What a kitten who knows how to act coquettishly. Then let's hug him for a while. After Sakakibara agreed, Amami no Yuki immediately left her stool, took the initiative to sit sideways on Sakakibara's lap, and almost immediately ran into his arms. "Why are you in such a hurry?" Tianhai's Higsu did not answer, but rested her head on his chest quietly and comfortably. She calmed down, and Sakaki Hararaku also became inexplicably quiet because her soft body was close to him. Then he watched her close her eyes in his arms, watched her cling to the school uniform shirt that he had not yet changed into, watched her peaceful face rise and fall slowly and regularly with his heartbeat and breathing. With so good, so intimate. Sakaki Hararaku truly feels so. I feel more and more like she is an insecure kitten. Sakaki Hararaku didn't think much. He couldn't help but hold the kitten in his arms, who was seeking warmth from him. His arms were slightly stiff and he slowly held her in front of him. Happy. She called out so softly, and Sakaki Hararaku couldn't help but respond to her tenderly. So warm, she said and rubbed it gently again. Seeing her actions, Sakakibara thought of the scenes he had spent with her these past few days, as well as the blank memory of her growing up alone, unable to remember almost anything, and the lonely life of being slightly disliked by her sisters. Her already small body was even more delicate now in her arms. Does Yuki not have a good relationship with other sisters except Aunt Zi? I seem to only remember Sister Zi. Aren't they going to see you? It's been a long time since we last met, Tianhai's Higsu replied, except for Sister Zi, no one would accept the paper cranes I folded. Well, it seems that this is indeed the case. Tianhaiza did not lie to herself. The other sisters will more or less have a certain grudge against Higsu because of their mother. After all, they had already advised their mother not to give birth to Yuki because she was older. In their eyes, most of Yuki shouldn't exist in Tianhai's family. By the way, I haven't asked Yuki what your impression is of your mother. I haven't seen my mother. I mean impression. Even if you haven't met her, she left you a lot of things, and wrote you diaries and many messages. You should have a rough impression of her, right? After hearing this, Tianhai's Higsu seemed to think seriously for a long time, and then replied. Mom is fine. Just, gone. Gone. Sakakibara looked at her carefully and roughly understood that Amami Nazuki didn't just have such thoughts about her mother, but that she couldn't express her inner feelings. Let me ask in another way, is there anything Yuki wants your mother to take you to? Travel. Anything else? Eat McDonald's. Anything else? Visit the aquarium. Sakakibara was stunned after hearing this. I am your mother. Le is my brother. Then why do you answer the questions I took you to do? Because that's all I know. Sakaki Hararaku was silent again. Her world is indeed too small. It is obviously just something that ordinary people can experience when they are children, but to her it is the whole sky. No one had ever taken her to do anything. To her, she was exploring a part of the world. These were the only things she could think of and like. If I said I could take you to the aquarium again, would you go? Really? Tianhai's Higsu opened her eyes. Perhaps, we should be kinder to Higsu and take her out to see more things and experience more things. Tell her that the world is not limited to this. I will definitely take you there if I have the chance. Good. Yuki agreed, looking at herself. Now that I think about it, I seem to have seen this look a long time ago. Xiaoqiu, who made a promise to herself when she was a child, is also full of expectations, longing, and seriousness. They all seem to firmly believe that he could take them out and see more of the world together. Why are you always on the balcony at night? Did you notice? Sakaki Hararaku came back from the past memories. Sakakibara thought for a while and replied, how should I put this? It's probably because I'm still a little worried about Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai. Don't know. It's just that I have been indifferent to their actions recently. When Chi Minjiao asked me to go out, I used excuses to shirk it. When Julie Yulai wanted to talk to me, I also used excuses to shirk that I was busy. They are all very smart and sensible people. After seeing what I said, they didn't bother me anymore. But every time after I tried to avoid it, when I looked at the messages they sent, I would think about what kind of mentality they had in front of the mobile phone screen. Those words I sent. When Sakakibara said this, he smiled to himself. Although I understand that I should be like this, I still can't help but imagine in their shoes. Do you want to respond to Xiao Qi and Xiao Ju? No, I didn't say that. I feel bad, but the decision must be implemented, otherwise it will be in vain. But I also feel a little bored and lonely because I haven't talked to them for too long, so I often talk to them recently. Look at the moon at night and wonder if they are looking at it like me. Tianhai's Higsu listened carefully and heard the words boring and loneliness in his words that represented his mood. After experiencing so many things, Amami no Yuki, who had a little understanding of the meaning of some words, took the initiative to say to Sakakibara Raku, I can accompany you. I know, I still have you and a Ling with me. Sakakibara replied, and suddenly found that Amami Yuki, who was back on her legs, was looking directly at him from below. She seemed to be telling herself that she really thought so with her blank expression. It hurts. Tianhai's Higsu closed her eyes. Sakakihara retracted his anger and said with a smile, don't make the atmosphere so serious. Covering up his current emotions with playful movements, Sakakibara thought to himself, right now, he and Yuki have developed into a very close brother-sister relationship, right? I hope she can continue to treat him as her brother in the future. I will also respond to her more exciting world. It was the same as when I took Aling out to see the world. Tianhai's Higsu didn't care about his words, but that her sister had lied to her. What his sister said and looked at him seriously had no effect at all. He didn't take the initiative to kiss himself. My sister is lying. When he went to school the next day, Tianhai's secretly pulled Tianhai's Higsu into his office and asked him about it. Sister is lying. Cough cough, Tianhai's almost choked on the can of soda. She took out a tissue and wiped her mouth. She looked at her sister's face that was very similar to her own, but looked younger. Yuki, when did my sister lie to you? Doesn't last night count as progress in your relationship? At least Xiao is becoming more accepting of you, isn't he? It seems so. What seems to be like this? Tianhaize took the initiative to grab his sister's shoulders with a firm look. Come, tell me together with my sister. It must be like this, it is definitely like this. Snow in the sky. Tianhaize couldn't do anything with this naturally stupid sister. She was downcast for 2 seconds, then raised her head and said, Yuki, you have to have some confidence in yourself and your appearance. You are a beautiful girl. Now not only does your sister support you, but also even dad supports you in doing this. You have to understand that everyone supports your idea. Alright. Tianhaize looked around to make sure that no colleague in the office was paying attention to him, and asked in a low voice, what does Xiao think of you now? Same as Aling. Then he treats you as his sister. Tianhaize Higsu nodded. What about him? Tianhaize thought for a few seconds. What about his feelings for Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai? Le has been reciting Dao Zioki Xiaju. Not easy to handle. Tianhaize let go of her sister's petite shoulders and lay down on the work chair again, raising her slender white thighs, and her white sneakers were very conspicuous. Judging from the information she can get now, the relationship between Xiao Le and Xiao Qi and Xiao Ju is very strong. Even though I have figured out the relationship between Yuki and Xiao Le, and understand the emotional interaction between the two, I can still understand that Xiao Le does not fully accept Yuki. Should we say that Xiao Le is innocent, or is he a scumbag with a bottom line? My sister gave it to you for free, but you were indifferent. Being naked in bed without even making a move shows that a man is impulsive or something. Tianhaize thought about it again and again. I think we should stick to our previous ideas and let Zhixu and Xiao's feelings develop implicitly, making them inseparable from each other unconsciously. What a coincidence that it's mid-March and there is a group sleepover at the end of April. We can also use this to further strengthen the relationship between Zhixu and Xiao. Perfect. Elder sister. Ah, Tianhaize smiled and looked at his sister who had been standing in front of him. Yuki, you can go back first. As long as your sister doesn't make any clear request to you, just stay as you are. I understand. No. Clear. Remember, okay, you can go back to class. Tianhaize waved his hand to his sister and asked her to leave the office. Staring at his sister's back who disappeared for a moment, Tianhaize continued to think. The relationship between Yuki and Xiao is advancing in an orderly manner. Then Qi Minjiao and Julie Yulai should also make some moves. Qi Minjiao should have seen the loophole deliberately revealed to her that day, right? These two sisters are really patient. No. They need to be given a little push. Asterisk. My aunt, who was arranged by her grandfather to supervise her and her sister, actually doesn't know what her brother is thinking. Tianhai Kaimingyu has been thinking about this matter for the past 2 days. Was it not because of her brother's thoughts that my aunt was so angry that her grandfather sent people to restrict her actions? What is that aunt doing? Taking advantage of the 5th period in the morning, the geography class was over. Tianhai Kaimingyu, who thought the matter was very strange, left the classroom and came to the balcony. Looking at her classmates who were still exercising on the playground in the distance, she dialed her father's phone number. Put the phone to your ear. Beep. The phone was answered immediately, and my father's voice came from inside. Just came out of the court. What do you want? If you want to return to the same class as Xiao Le, Qi Minjiao, you know that it is impossible at this stage. Tianhai Kaimingyu said directly in a calm voice, Dad, didn't you find it strange? Strangeness, what's weird? My aunt suddenly came to our school. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds. Your grandfather told me about this recently. Xiaozi has informed me in advance that she wants to come back and stay for a while with her temperament. It is very reasonable for your grandfather to arrange for her to be a teacher and supervise your behavior in school. Looking at it alone, this matter is very reasonable. But Dad didn't have any doubts. Don't you mean your aunt? After Grandpa knew what my brother was thinking and knew that he had already taken action, he shouldn't just make these requests to my sister and me so indifferently. Your grandfather is old because of what happened to Zhixu. My personality has changed a lot, this is a fact that I can confirm. Tianhai Kaimingyu, I don't deny what you said, Dad, but I called here just to confirm. Dad, have you ever had any doubts about this matter? Have. Understood. Tianhai Kaimingyu hung up the phone. Put the phone back into the pocket of your school uniform. Things have become much clearer. Since both my father and myself were suspicious of Grandpa's behavior, then it can be indirectly proved that this is not a hypothesis that I made up out of imagination, but that there is indeed something fishy about Grandpa's behavior. Tianhai Kaimingyu turned around and was about to leave the rooftop, but when she just entered the stairs, she met her other self standing by the wall, as if eavesdropping on her words. Tianhai Julie Yulai also seemed to be planning to come to the balcony. When the two sisters met, they didn't look good on each other. Is eavesdropping the only thing my sister has learned recently? Tianhai Julie Yulai held the bento in his hand and said with a smile, I just come to the balcony to have lunch out of habit. I have no interest in eavesdropping on who you are calling. Really? What if I said that my brother has been secretly talking to me in private these days? When I hear it, you are just lying. Tian Haikaimingu could see that her sister was a little concerned about what she said, and she continued calmly, "Sister, I am still so confident, but sister, don't forget why he betrayed you, sister." Tian Haijuli Yulai smiled, "Chi Minjiu, I advise you not to put your status so high. Don't I know that your current position is something you got through your own pity? Isn't it my sister? I wonder whose arms my sister threw herself into and cried secretly that day? Isn't this asking for charity through pity? What about before that? What about you, Chi Minjiu?" My sister talked about the beginning again, so even if she was in that situation, she still couldn't win. "Okay. Okay. Okay." A series of sudden claps interrupted the quarrel between the two sisters. As soon as the two looked down the stairs, they spotted Tian Haizi, who suddenly appeared in their sight. She put her hands in her coat pockets and showed a gentle and kind smile to the two people above her. "I said, you two sisters, you quarreled whenever we met in school? Is it because of a man?" Dot. Dot. Both Chi and Ju unanimously chose not to answer her. Tian Haizi's white sneakers stepped on the stairs and continued, "Look at you two sisters, twins. Aren't you quite in tune with each other? Since you don't want to let go, then why don't you each choose to take a step back?" Tian Haijuli Yulai closed his eyes and said seriously, "It's impossible." Tian Haikaimingu did not answer directly. Tian Haizi said to the two sisters again, "Okay, okay, of course I can understand your thoughts. The fighting spirit of not admitting defeat is also worthy of praise, but my aunt is not here to watch my two little nieces quarrel." "Then what are you doing here?" Tian Haikaimingu asked directly. "Looking for Julie Yulai." Tian Haizi also answered directly and looked at Tian Hai Chi Minjiu's face, "But Xiao Qi is here too, so that will be much more convenient. I plan to look for you after I finish looking for Xiaoju." "What exactly is going on with Aunt Zi?" Tian Haijuli Yulai asked. "It's not a big deal, or it's something you should have known about for a long time." Tian Haizi waved his hands to the two sisters and said in a somewhat relaxed tone, "To be specific, I want to convey a message to you two on behalf of the old man. I should say one meaning. This meaning is very simple. In the future, you will just don't look for Xiao Le. Dot. Dot. Both were silent. The following are some of my personal opinions. Please listen to them. Tian Haizi continued, "Perhaps you have all noticed that Xiao has been very cold and perfunctory in his recent response to you. When you quarreled at the beginning, he could run in both directions to comfort you, and he would also try to take care of you. Your thoughts and feelings. I know, you may think that he is using this to force you to submit and to lower some of your inner defenses. I don't deny that your guess is right or wrong, but have you ever thought that if you quarrel and he is caught in the middle, you can do it because to get the feeling of winning by outperforming the other party, while Xiao Le can only feel uncomfortable and tired? He's wrong, but as a human being, he certainly can't always accept the negative emotions during the quarrel between the two of you. After the quarrel, you are sad and ask him to comfort you. Maybe. I mean maybe, do you feel that he is tired of the endless quarrels between you? When he comforted one, he comforted the other, and he was careful not to talk about the other person. But how is this possible? You are twins, so you must have a place in his heart. If you ask me, he is not worthy of you, so you should just stop getting entangled with him. Everyone has a good time together, and we will still be brothers and sisters in the same family from now on." Of course Tian Haikaimingu understands what her aunt said, but she has no reason to compromise. If Grandpa just conveyed this meaning, then aunt can go back now. Tian Haizi put his hands on his hips and shook his head helplessly. How could the old man just mean this? After he found out that you were still quarreling over a man and still wanted to see him, he was completely angry. He wanted me to convey to you, if you don't let go, Xiao Le or you two will be sent abroad alone, and you will come back in 10 or 8 years after you graduate with a master's or doctorate or something. I won't agree to that. Don't be too naive. Xiaoqi. Tianhaiza suddenly became serious and interrupted. She frowned and said, "It's not like you don't know the old man's methods. What will happen to those who violate his will? Even if he cares about family friendship, he can't let him. You are destroying the Tianhai family's family tradition to the outside world, which is everything he has to the outside world. I think you and Julie Yulai really have no sense of crisis at all. You must understand that you have no support now. Grandpa won't support you, eldest brother won't support you, and even Xiao, who you miss so much, is very upset by you. You've been going it alone and it's become a joke. Want to imitate my elder brother and go abroad alone? My eldest brother had no worries at that time, and everyone who was related to him had their own arrangements. What could you do when you went out? You should at least elope with Xiao Li when you go out, right? But do you think Xiao still pays attention to you now? You want him to elope with you abroad. Do you think he will pay attention to you? Will he leave his sister who has lived with him for more than 10 years for you? You need to understand what is feasible and what is not feasible now. Weigh the pros and cons before making a choice. I can tell you clearly here, even if you win the other party, the old man's character will not agree with you and Xiao. A bunch of facts were poured out. No matter who listens to it, they will not feel good. Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai's faces have not changed much, but their hearts are also very strong. He wouldn't let Tianhai's words disturb his long-held defense, but he still understood the current situation of the two of them. Auntie was right. He and his sister were already in an isolated and helpless situation. Tianhaiza shook his head and sighed. Xiaoqi Xiaju, it's not that my aunt wants to be biased against you. Even if you want to be with Xiao at the same time, I have no objection to it. After all, it's your own idea. Please understand that I can't support you. After all, I still have to rely on my family and my status as the Tianhai family to make a living. How much does it cost to be a teacher? I'll leave first, and you two can think about it for yourselves. Tianhaiza left and disappeared from sight. While Tianhai Kaimingyu was still thinking about the real purpose of her aunt's coming to talk to her and her sister, Tianhai Julie Yulai already had the idea of leaving here immediately. Where are you going, sister? Tianhai Kaimingyu called to her. Go to Lejun and ask about the situation. No lunch? Even if my sister goes to see my brother now, his response should be the same as before, saying perfunctorily that he won't give up on you. So you have to ask in person. Then you were thrown abroad by your grandfather? Now my sister should understand the consequences of meeting her brother. Tianhai Julie Yulai took a deep breath. Kyo, you and I both understand that grandpa wants to put pressure on us. But maybe Lejun was also pressured by grandpa to express this to us? He may have been interviewed by grandpa and then told if he doesn't do that, he will threaten the two of us and so on. July, you have to be clear, it is entirely possible for grandpa to do this when he is angry. Tianhai Kaimingyu does not deny the possibility of this situation. In this case, sister, shouldn't you calm down more? If you do this, you will only be led by grandpa, and then he will find a logical reason to drive you abroad. Tianhai Julialai frowned, and she saw some clues about Chi Minjiao. Wrong. What's wrong? July. You would never do this. Why does sister think so? As long as it involves Lejun, you do things much more impulsively than me, but why can you still stand here calmly and analyze the situation? Tianhai Kaimingyu knew that her sister had discovered something. In July, do you know something? I have no reason to explain the information I have to my opponent. Tianhai Julie Yulai laughed and calmed down a lot, at least the intelligence does exist, right? My sister is lying to herself. It's okay if you don't want to say it in July. I'll understand in 2 days. Tian Haikimingyu said helplessly. Okay, what's clear is that Grandpa's treatment of us is not worth all the twists and turns. If he puts pressure on us through his father and aunt, he can simply use this to throw us abroad. Under this premise now, there are only two possibilities for Grandpa to do this. Tian Haikimingyu raised a finger. First, Grandpa is indeed old, his mentality has changed, and he has become more soft-hearted. With Dad's intervention, he doesn't want to cut off the relationship with us because of this matter. But I asked my father just now, and he didn't plead with Grandpa for our matter. This was Grandpa's spontaneous behavior. When Tian Haikimingyu said this, he paused for 3 seconds. Within these 3 seconds, Tian Haijuli, who was thinking, understood everything her sister said, looked at her again, and immediately added. Secondly, Grandpa has concealed some things and feels guilty about us, so he doesn't want to do things too badly. When the two sisters said this, they looked at each other, and they both seemed to understand something, and they suddenly became enlightened as if they had a tacit understanding. Tian Haikimingyu put down the arms she was holding. It seems that sister is not too stupid. I just don't want you to say that in Kyo. You have never beaten me in exams. The only thing my sister can prove is this kind of insignificant thing. Kyo, I think you have raised yourself too high. There are many things I just don't want to do, and it's not because I'm weaker than you. That may have been the case in the past, but it may not be the case now. If your talent is wasted for too long, your original talent will be wasted as well. That's the kind of person my sister is. In July, do you want to say that you are better than me in all aspects now? Otherwise, sister needs to recognize herself. Tian Haijuli smiled. It cannot be denied that sometimes you should be more confident, otherwise you will have to come to your sister to cry about your incompetence. This is not confidence, this is fact, sister. Who knows? July. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 316. Happy. 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 I don't know when it started, but a shadow always appeared in my mind. Always up front. Always around. Always offer yourself more treats at meal times. It's obviously just an ordinary thing. You can hear the sound of food being placed in front of you, you can see the aroma of food rising upwards, and you can smell the aroma of food lingering on the tip of your nose. But Tian Hai's Higsu could always see his face close at hand when she looked up. The gauze curtain fluttered lightly with the night wind by the window, the guitar rested in the corner of the desk, Amami Yuki was lying on the bed, holding up the Yukiana ceramic figurine that Sakeki Hararaku gave her in Kyoto with both hands. Her eyes were silent. Watch quietly. Staring at this little ceramic man like this probably reminded me of the gift he gave me, and the shadow in my mind became clearer. Want to get closer. Want to be hugged. Want to be touched on the head. I want to sleep cheek to cheek. With all these thoughts popping up in his mind, the little ceramic figure in his hand was hugged tightly to the girl's chest without even realizing it. Tian Hai's Higsu closed her eyes, thinking about a warm bed and a sea of McDonald's fried ice cream that she could eat at will. Drool is flowing out. Until Sakeki Harasuzu's voice broke this illusion. Yuki. She kept shaking the girl on the bed. Yuki, Yuki, it's just 7 o'clock, are you already asleep? Bell. Sakaki Harasuzu pouted and said unhappily, don't forget what we are going to do tonight. After dinner, you were lying on the bed while I went to the toilet. You are still drooling. What are you dreaming about? Already. Tian Hai's Higsu kept her face still, her eyes moved down as if she wanted to see the saliva around her mouth, and then she casually wiped it with her hands twice. Lots of fried ice cream and burgers. Didn't you have enough to eat tonight? No. Why don't you eat more? There are green peppers. I don't like eating that stuff either. Sakakibara Suzu pulled Amami Nazuki's arm. Okay, okay, Yuki, get up quickly and promise to accompany me. Amami no Yuki couldn't resist Sakakihara Suzu, so he was dragged to her room in a few moments. What she meant by companionship was that Kaname was used as a cross-dressing doll, allowing her to change clothes as she pleased. Sakakihara Suzu first asked Amami Nazuki to stand aside with bare feet, and she sang hum 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 while leisurely searching for her clothes in her closet. She first took out the light green hooded coat and white skirt that she had just bought not long ago. After taking it out, he put the clothes aside and looked at Tianhai's Higsu, who was obviously unaware of anything. The corners of Suzu Sakakihara's cute face and mouth were raised, her hands were level with Amami Nazuki's chest, she put them in front of her and made a hee sound. Yuki. Tianhai's Higsu looked at her strange movements. Yuki-chan, do you know what to call me now? Sisterling. That's right. Ahem, Sakakibara Suzu became excited, putting her right fist against her mouth and coughing lightly. Yuki-chan is my sister now, you know. Tianhai's Higsu nodded. Call sister. Elder sister. Be sweeter and keep your voice a little lower. Sister. Ah. So good. So good. Really, so well behaved. Suzu Sakakihara hugged Amami Nazuki's petite and soft body, then directly raised her arms upwards, and took off Yuki's home clothes in a few strokes. Amami Yuki was still standing there, and after being stripped down to her underwear by Sakakihara Suzu, she even looked down at her bare feet on the floor. Then he looked up and found that Sakakihara Suzu was frowning, holding her chin in her hand, staring straight at herself. Bell. Sakakihara Suzu pointed at the bottom of Tenkai no Snow's white collarbone. Yuki, how old are you? 16 years old. It's not about age, it's about cup size. Tianhai's Higsu shook her head, expressing her incomprehension. It was Julie Yulai who took you to buy underwear before, right? She should have told you how old you are. Can't remember? That's right, Yuki has a bad memory, so you can't blame her. In fact, you can tell that Yuki's size is much larger than yourself without measuring. Visual inspection has B.C. Do not care. Sakakihara Suzu asked this specifically out of shame. She felt that the veins on her forehead were about to explode with anger. Why do everyone have better figures than me? The last time I ate papaya milk for a long time, Sakakihara Suzu took the belt and measured it, and it barely reached the A level. A. It doesn't even count as an A. I can't bear it, I really can't bear it, I want to punch the papaya to burst. Bell. Sakakihara Suzu calmed down her depression and looked up and down at the almost naked Tenkai Snow. The face is cute and perfect. Long hair that almost reaches the waist, perfect. The collarbone, the mermaid line of the upper body, perfect. Even the legs look plump and slender after stripping off, and they are still perfect. And because of their height, the two foxes are in better shape than Yuki. Sakakihara Suzu felt that her jealousy as a woman was rising. Damn, it's so hateful. But tolerate. You have to endure it. One day I will grow bigger too. One day I will grow bigger too. One day I will grow bigger too. After continuously exerting psychological suggestions on herself, Sakakihara Suzu smiled and raised her head. Come on, let me change your clothes first. Yuki, raise your hands. Feet, yes, lift your feet too. Put on the skirt. Yuki, why are your thighs so white? Under the control of Suzu Sakakibara, Amami no Yuki was like a dress-up doll who would not resist. She just wore the light green hooded coat and white skirt just now. Sakaki Harasuzu held her shoulders and stood in front of the full-length mirror. Cute, so cute. Sakaki Harasuzu sincerely admired how cute Yuki looked in her daily life after putting on this outfit. Does it look good? It looks good, Yuki, you look so good in what you wear. Would Elihue like it? My brother? Oh, do you care whether he likes it or not? As long as I like it? If I like him, then I like it. Let's move on to the next thing. Next, Sakaki Harasuzu took Amamai Yuki to try out all types of clothes in her wardrobe. A black baby doll shirt and short skirt, a beige long-sleeved t-shirt and a red plaid skirt, a high-neck lace thin linen jacket layered with a yellow suspender vest and a mid-length red plaid skirt. All of the above, plus some specialized uniforms. I tried on 33 outfits in total, including the maid outfit I bought at the previous cultural festival, the Alice blue and white dress worn at the event, the sailor outfit, and the cosplay witch outfit. Sakaki Harasuzu felt that Yuki was so cute that it made her drool, so she helped her change clothes and took pictures of her. She plans to pick a few and post them on Twitter later for everyone to see. There will definitely be countless people praising Yuki for being cute. Tianhai's Higsu has been constantly changing her clothes. She didn't pay much attention to this. She just stood in Sakaki Harasuzu's room, waiting for her to look for clothes in the closet. She would always notice the many dolls placed on Sakaki Harasuzu's bed. Among them, there are the most rabbit dolls of various styles and colors, followed by some carrot-size pillows and the like. Tianhai's Higsu stared at the dolls on the bed and blinked. Bell. Ah, Sakaki Harasuzu, half buried in the closet, answered, her voice a little dull. There are so many dolls on the bed. Well, what's wrong? Many. Sakaki Harasuzu put her hands in the closet and continued to rummage, while replying, I have a lot of dolls. Most of them are given to me by my brother on various festivals since he was a child. Amamai no Yuki has been staring at the various rabbit dolls arranged neatly inside Sakaki Harasuzu's bed. After hearing Sakaki Harasuzu's answer, she didn't know what she was thinking in her dazed mind, but she just muttered. From small to large. Although the voice was low, Sakaki Harasuzu heard Amamai no Yuki's words clearly. She picked up a t-shirt, glanced at it to make sure it wasn't this one, put it down, and replied casually. Yes, my brother will give these. Dolls for birthdays, dolls for New Year, dolls for graduation, and the beginning of school. Then I still give dolls. I am almost speechless. But, occasionally he will come up with something new. Are there so many dolls? They were all given to Ling by Ellie. Yeah, that's right. Suzu Sakaki Bara tossed out a piece of clothing and waved her hand. I just explained that since I was a child, I have given them as gifts for so many festivals. Even if they are not given every time, they have accumulated over the past 10 years. There are still so many. Listening to Sakaki Harasuzu's words, Amamai no Yuki saw the pile of dolls, and for some reason a different mood emerged in her heart. She didn't know what it was, but when she saw Ling possessing these things, she would think of what she possessed. No. Maybe not. The only thing Amamai Yuki could think of was the little ceramic figure that Sakaki Raku had given to him recently. During this moment of thought, her hands touched each other in front of her. Yuki. Sakaki Harasuzu took a new set of clothes and turned her head, just in time to find Amamai Yuki staring at the pile of dolls on her bed in a daze. She approached the girl and called her 3 times in succession before calling her out of her trance. Sakaki Harasuzu noticed the look in her eyes and what she just looked at. It seems that Tianhai's Higsu has been staring at her pile of dolls. Yuki, do you like these? Tianhai's Higsu nodded. Facing her face, Sakaki Harasuzu remembered that Yuki's room was actually a girl's room, which was much duller. Not only were there no ornaments, there were also nothing that could represent what she liked. Some of them were just clothes lying around without neatly stacked clothes, and some had various guitar-related equipment in front of computers. Yuki said she likes these. Sakakihara Suzu could only see her sincerity from her response. Yuki is indeed her friendliest best friend, but these dolls on the bed cannot be given to her. Although I have a lot of complaints about these things, and although I feel that there is nothing new in giving these things, after all, my brother gave them to me. If I really want to give them away, I will still be reluctant to part with them. Sakakihara Suzu felt that she had to do something quickly. Otherwise, the ways Higsu looks quite sad. Yuki wants a gift. Amami no Snow looked at Sakakibara Suzu for a while, shook her head, and then nodded again. What does it mean? Sakakihara Suzu tilted her head and speculated for a long time. You don't know how, are you sorry? Not sure. Tianhai's Higsu herself didn't know why she shook her head and nodded again. When she shook her head, she felt that she couldn't just ask for what Le gave to Ling, and when she nodded, she hoped that she could have some gifts. She didn't know how to express her current thoughts to Ling. Fortunately, Sakakihara Suzu doesn't understand girls' thoughts. Although Yuki's thoughts were a little clearer and her brain circuits were occasionally clear, the way she looked at the pile of dolls just now was not deceptive. Is she envious because of the gift her brother gave her? So she also wants my brother to give her a gift? After all, I had seen Yuki's room being empty before, with basically nothing except clothes and musical instruments. Suzu Sakakihara understood this and asked proactively in a low voice. Yuki wants my brother to give you a gift. Tianhai's Higsu looked back. With those small eyes, Sakakibara Suzu thought to herself that her guess was indeed correct. Sure enough, girls only have so many things on their minds. Little Yuki is no different from herself. I can understand Yuki's mood, so I don't have any objection to her idea. Anyway, Yuki is now my sister. As an elder brother, isn't it normal for me to give her a gift? Then Yuki, just ask my brother for it. If you want a gift, just say so. He won't refuse. Sakakihara Suzu blinked at her. What are you worried about? Or do you think it's not good for Shiro to ask for a gift? Le said, you can't just accept other people's things. Tianhai's Higsu answered seriously. Sakakihara Suzu was dejected and speechless for a few seconds, and lowered her arms. You really take what my brother said as the Bible. It's okay if you just ask him for a gift directly. He has a lot of money and doesn't care. But that's what Le said. Sakakihara Suzu gave up trying to persuade her, as Yuki was sometimes the boss. Okay, I understand, and I understand what you mean Yuki, you just don't want to receive a gift from me in vain, right? Yuki who nodded is so good. Sakakihara Suzu began to think about it and thought about it seriously. By the way. Well, since you don't want to do this, how about you take the initiative to give me a gift? As long as you give it to him, and I give him a little reminder, he will definitely give you a gift in return. Brother, if nothing else, I still have emotional intelligence in this area. Really? When did Sister Ling lie to my younger sister? Sakakibara Suzu raised her lips, patted Amami Nazuki's head proudly, then held her chin and showed her sister's attitude and said, as for what gift you want to give to my brother, let me tell you, I can give you anything. Okay, it's best to give some sunscreen or something. You're going to sleep together soon, so you can use it. Of course, if you have your own ideas, sister, I will support it, or you can find someone to discuss it with. Tianhai's Higsu first thought of Sister Zi. Thank you sister. Sounds good. Sakakihara Suzu gradually lost her mind in Yuki's soft words and became more and more proud. She closed her eyes, held her head high and put her hands on her hips. Yuki, do you want to thank your sister more? Good. Then continue to be my model. Let's sleep together tonight. Dot. What's wrong? You can't touch it randomly. Tianhai's Higgsya blocked her chest. No, Sakakihara Suzu's eyes widened. Who said that? Le said it. Whatever he says has the final say. Okay. Now Yuki, just listen to your sister. From now on, your sister will protect you. Now just play dress-up games with your sister. Dot. Sakakihara Suzu laughed twice, and then quickly stripped off all the newly put on clothes on Amami no Yuki's body. Come on, let's try this time. Wear nothing but a white shirt, it must be super cute. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 317. A school trip. Tianhaizi held his chin, holding a lollipop in his mouth, and looked out the window at the blue sky and white clouds. I feel a little nostalgic when I say it. How long was the last time I went on a study trip? University. At the family restaurant after school, Sakakibara Raku was helping Sakakibara Suzu and Amami Yuki with tonight's difficult homework. Hearing the voice of the unexpected teacher in front of him, he responded casually. Sister Zi, you went to university abroad, right? Are there such things as study trips abroad? Azusa Amami suddenly stopped holding the lollipop in her mouth. She looked at Raku Sakakibara, who was looking very serious across from her, and said with a smile. The university doesn't have this kind of publicly funded travel anyway. Ah, I remembered. The last study trip was in my senior year of high school. At that time, everyone was about to graduate. In order to reduce the pressure on everyone, the school held a study trip. Travel, and then write a bunch of travel reflections and stuff like that. Tianhaizi laid his head on the corner of the table in the family restaurant, stared boredly at the pens of several people who were writing seriously, and said. I still remember a boy who confessed to me on that school trip, said a lot of things, and then told me that we were about to graduate, and we didn't have much time, so we wanted to be impulsive and express our thoughts bravely. To be honest, then the boy is really romantic, and he even made a pop-up book of memories for me, the kind of book where various things stand up when you open it. It's all about the things that happened to me in school. Sister Azusa agreed. Sakakihara Suzu asked curiously after hearing this. Refused. Sakakihara followed the topic and asked, has your sister ever been in love? When Azusa Sakakibara asked, her head did not leave the table, but she turned to a certain direction and smiled at him. Xiao Le asked, do you also want to date your sister? I don't mind. Sakakibara lowered his head and wrote down the steps to solve the problem, while replying, Azusa's sister is not only an aunt, but also a teacher. In any case, this is something that cannot be tolerated at the social level, right? But Tianhaizi stretched out a finger, closed his eyes and shook his head, lying on the table. No, teacher, what I hate most is the rules. As long as it is the kind of true and pure sincerity that can impress God, teacher, I agree with everything. What do you think? Do you want to pursue me? No need for this. Raku Sakakibara saw Amami Azusa's joke. After getting along with each other these days, he understood that this aunt was no ordinary aunt with the status of elder. She is more like a peer. Occasionally, he will use his own identity to make fun of him. Sakakibara only felt that it would be nice if Amami Azusa was not such a rigid person. In the past 2 days, he wanted to try to contact Chi and Ju to see what situation they were currently in. That's such a pity. Teacher, I understand boys better than Zioki and Ziyaju. Tianhaizi sighed and said regretfully. While Sakakibara was thinking about something in his mind, Amami Azusa was also observing him. Xiao Le is indeed the most handsome boy he has seen in recent years. He is also very talented, understands art, is capable, and can take care of others. For those little girls, he should be the perfect boyfriend, right? By the way, do you now know the purpose of this school trip? Sakakihara stopped the pen in his hand, raised his head and replied, the voting won't start until tomorrow, right? I know. Tianhaize put his hands flat on the table and smiled, so I was bored in the afternoon, so I stopped by to ask you students what they think. Oh, 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 oh. I'm so bored that I won't write anymore. The people who ask these questions really try their best to embarrass people. Suzu Sakakihara suddenly closed the math homework book in her hand. She had just broken free from her thoughts and was about to order a cold soda when she immediately saw the kind smile thrown at her by Azusa Amamai. Sakakihara Suzu was a little scared for a moment, and her voice became uncertain and much smaller. Why are you staring at me like that? Sister, I just want to ask Xiaoling, where do you plan to go on the school trip in 2 days? Study trip, Sakakibara Suzu thought seriously. Isn't it just those places, Kyoto, Osaka, Hokkaido, Shikoku Island, Chiba Prefecture, and Kamakura in the suburbs, etc. So where do you think we should go? That's fine. Anyway, don't go to Kyoto and Osaka. I went there last time. Why don't you go to Nara? They have venison hot pot. Amamai Azusa stretched out her hand to interrupt her. Hey. I hereby solemnly declare that Nara is a place to see deer, not to eat deer. It's all right. Sakakihara Suzu waved her hands nonchalantly, and then suddenly became excited. How about, just go abroad? Sakakibara stabbed her head with a knife. I still want to go abroad during a spring vacation. Go to beach. When everyone heard the voice, they realized that it was Tianhai's Higsu who was speaking. Although her voice was small, her advice was quite good. The seaside is great, Sakakihara Suzu immediately agreed happily. Tianhaize thought thoughtfully, and then nodded in agreement. The beach is nice. Although it is a spring trip, it is hotter than usual this year, and it is almost April. It is more comfortable to go to the beach in advance. Sakakihara Raku also agreed with this proposal and took out his mobile phone. Let me ask everyone. After all, this is a matter of collective voting, and the opinions of everyone in the class are also very important. There is a chat group in class 1 of grade 2, with both teachers and students in it. School had just ended, and everyone in the discussion group was talking about their destination in 2 days. Woman A, Sapporo and Otaru are pretty good. Man B, it's going to be winter in Hokkaido, it's spring now. Woman B, shouldn't we go camping and hiking in spring? How about we go to Mount Fuji together? Fujino, Mount Fuji only opens in July every year, it's only April now, and I can't climb anymore. Raku Sakakibara, class leader, how about going directly to the beach this spring? I don't know if summer accommodation is available yet, and it gets hotter earlier than usual this year. After a series of discussions, everyone agreed that their class's goal this year would be the seaside. Even where we go is still controversial. Some said to go to Nagoya, and some said to go to Okinawa. Seeing that there were many people chatting in the group, Tianhaize held a lollipop in his mouth and tapped the screen quickly with both hands. Why not go abroad? One stone stirs up 1,000 waves. The discussion group got louder. Really? The teacher said you can choose a destination abroad. Loudly, seaside, swimsuit. Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii. Even through the screen, Suzu Sakakihara could feel the enthusiastic cheers of the boys in the class. And, the cheers continued until the first period of get out of class the next day. Seaside. Swimsuit. Hawaii. 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 Go abroad. Go abroad. Tsukimi Satomi Mishika stood on the podium, facing the booing students in the class, and raised his forehead in confusion. Who said you can go abroad? Teacher Azusa. Teacher Zi. Teacher Zi. Teacher Zi. One person took the lead, and the rest of the boys just kept repeating Tianhai's name. The students were very enthusiastic, but Tsukimi Sato Michikage stood on the stage and had to complain about his unreliable high school classmate. Unexpectedly, she has captured the hearts of a large number of students in her class in just over a week. Tsukimi Sato Kyung cleared his throat, and after everyone calmed down, he continued. You must have booked the destination for your school trip yourself, and there will be no problem in the country. Going abroad requires additional approval from the principal. After all, this involves the safety of students during the trip, and our school has the obligation to ensure the safety of your students. Seaside. Swimsuit. Hawaii. 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 The students still gave the same answer. Seeing this, Tsukimi Sato Kyung could only say, okay, I'll go talk to the principal about this. If you agree, you must listen to the teacher and the monitor's arrangements during the school trip. Understand? No. Yes. Everyone sat in a well-behaved manner and answered the teacher's request in a long tone. Then I will now announce the requirements for the study trip. The official start date is March 28th and the end date is April 12th. It will last for 1 day more than 2 weeks, which is a 15-day trip. During this period, you are not allowed to leave the prescribed area, and roll call will be made on time at noon. Our class will also organize some group activities according to the school's arrangements. Everyone can arrange the rest of the time freely. After returning to school on April 12th, everyone also needs to return to the classroom. After a series of you can go home only after confirmation. At noon that day, the students in the class received the approval notice issued by Tianhaize. The principal approved everyone's application, and due to their long-term excellent performance, they have always been among the best in Tokyo. The travel expenses, accommodation fees, and 3 meals are all provided by the school. Great! Long live! Long live the principal! This news undoubtedly made everyone happy. Although most of the students in the class are not short of money, there are also some students who come from poor backgrounds through their own efforts. It is obviously very expensive for them to bear the cost of going abroad. The school has deep financial resources, so it exempts everyone from travel expenses. That night, Raku Sakakibara received a remittance from Mr. Mishika for school activities, and was responsible for helping Mr. Mishika purchase the next day's air tickets and accommodation fees for each of his classmates. Early the next morning, everyone had prepared their luggage and gathered excitedly at the school gate. And the shadow of a red sports car driving into the campus made all the students envious. Is that teacher Zi's car? Lamborghini. So handsome. It seems that there are many rich teachers in the school, but only teacher Zi can drive a sports car to school. After all, it's too showy, but teacher Zi doesn't care about that. Does teacher Zi have a boyfriend? I heard that many teachers are interested in pursuing her. The teacher is so beautiful, I must have talked about it. I don't mind talking about it. All the boys sighed. Amid the discussion, 3 buses were parked on the ginkgo slope in front of the school. Why 3 cars? Raku Sakakibara couldn't help but ask after he handed out the tickets and saw Azusa Amamai, who had just parked the car and walked out of the campus. Tianhai's outfit today is more everyday. Pure white handsome jacket and loose hooded sweatshirt. There is a crystal pendant on the neckline with obvious lines. She seems to like the color white very much, and she prefers shorts to skirts, so her lower body is in a pair of white jeans and white running shoes. She also wore a pair of sunglasses, and after saying hello to her classmates in a friendly manner, she came closer and heard Raku Sakakibara's inquiry, and also took a look at the 3 buses. Ah, this is the bus for other classes. What do you mean? Sakakihara asked. Literally, the entire 2nd grade will go on the school trip. This is naturally the bus for the other 2 classes. But, Mr. Zi, we have more than 2 classes in the 2nd grade. And we are the first batch to set off. In order to avoid crowding, Students from other classes have gathered in the school and they can't set off until we set off. Tianhaize, whose eyes were under sunglasses, smiled and said, well, has Xiao ever thought that these two buses might be going to the same destination as us? Raku Sakakihara seemed to realize something. He blocked the sunlight that penetrated the ginkgo leaves above his head with his hands, and went to take a look at the other two classes. Sure enough, they were classmates from classes 3 and 5. This happened to be Kiju's class. He also saw Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Juli Yulai. Sakakibara looked back at Azusa Amamai. She was all smiles. Teacher Zi, there is no such thing as a coincidence, right? Yes, Tianhaize nodded in approval. Of course there are no such coincidences in this world. How do they know where our class is going? Yet Tianhaize held her chin and smiled even more. Well, Xiao can think about it for himself. Why does the principal agree to let you go abroad, and also provide travel expenses, accommodation, and 3 meals in such a humane way? Very good. Sakakihara Raku felt that he didn't have to think about it. It must be Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai who are causing trouble. Maybe it was from their classmates, maybe from their uncle. Anyway, the two of them knew the destination of the group's school trip through some channels. Then through certain conditions, the respective class destinations are the same as the first class. He had no problem with Kiju wanting to follow him, but would this be a bit overbearing to other students? Azusa Amamai seemed to have seen through what Raku Sakakibara was thinking under the ginkgo tree, and said, don't worry about it so much. Students in other classes are also happy to go to Hawaii. After all, it is a trip abroad. Teacher Zi, do you think this is what I care about? Do you care about Zioki and Xiaju? Then don't care. I guess they all want to talk to you now. It is reasonable to single-handedly promote this result. Azusa Amamai bumped Sakakihara Raku with her elbow like a girl, and said with a smile. Seriously, Xiao, it feels great to have two beautiful girl twins pursuing you like this, right? They would even go on a trip together just to talk to you. No way. Sakakibara laughed bitterly. Teacher Azusa, you have never tried the feeling of being sandwiched between the two of them. You and I are not human beings. I don't think I can be a good person. What about giving up one? If you give up one of them, they still have to fight. So, Sister Zi, how about you relax the conditions a little during this trip? Let me see what their attitude is towards me now. Xiao Li, although I like the title of your sister very much, but as your uncle's agent, I can't agree to your request. Don't even think about making secret phone calls or having private meetings in private. My eldest brother, if we find out, we will send them both abroad immediately. Xiao Li, if you only like one person, that's fine. You've already said that. It's reasonable for my elder brother to restrict you, isn't it? Indeed. Therefore, the top priority is to continue to put pressure on Kiju. Let Kiju first relax and then make peace, and then use Kiju's attitude to secretly force her uncle to give up. Once uncle agrees, the resistance will be greatly reduced. The only one left is the old man. You can discuss with Kiju first to get married to one of them openly, and then break off the relationship with the other one openly. After graduation, the old man retires and inherits the Tianhai family. Everything will be fine. Although Sakakihara Raku felt that his scalp was numb for a while when he married someone. By 9 o'clock, all the students were almost here. Azusa Amamai patted Sakakibara Raku's back and said with a smile. Okay, squad leader, go and call the roll call. Gather. Let's go. Go to Hawaii. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Lan. Chapter 318. Tokyo Haneda International Airport. 3 buses parked on the ground in an orderly manner. The sky on the parking apron was broad and bright. The engines roared overhead, and the planes flew overhead, splitting the blue sky in two with a long trail. Everyone, get off the bus slowly. After getting off the bus, everyone picks up their luggage and we will enter the terminal together. Raku Sakakihara stood at the door of the car with his backpack. The wind blowing in front of him was the breath of holiday. The students got off the bus in an orderly manner and took out their luggage from the bus compartment under the guidance of teacher Tsukimirai. Tienhaize, as the leading teacher of grade 2 class 1, was waiting for the students in front while eating a lollipop idly. Interestingly, she noticed that Amami no Snow, her sister, had brought her guitar out. Although she knew that Yuki was influenced by the notes left by her mother and fell in love with music, but she had to take it with her when she went on vacation? Tienhaize doesn't think that's the case. The number of people was unified at the airport, and a whole class of people entered the international terminal in an orderly manner under the leadership of Tsukimi Sato Kyung. The place is full of tourists from all over the world, and the flight departure news is announced in Japanese and English in turns in the transparent terminal. While waiting to board the plane in the waiting area, Tienhaize met Tienhaize Hiksu, who came to find him. The two sisters first glanced at each other in unison. Tienhaize looked at his sister and looked up and down. Her clothes today were very casual and everyday. The upper part is a lace stand collar sleeveless vest, the lower part is high-waisted blue denim shorts, and a khaki belt is tied in the middle. Handsome, pure, and neat. Coupled with her expressionless face like a white cat walking on the eaves, Tienhaize felt that her aesthetics had suddenly improved. When did my naturally silly little sister have such a sense of fashion? Tienhaize asked with curiosity, who taught you how to dress like this? Tienhaize Hiksu, who was carrying a guitar, glanced down at her shorts, and then replied to her sister. Belle. Tienhaize nodded with interest, reached out and pinched her sister's pants. If nothing else, Xiaoling's aesthetics are quite good. Yuki, you are particularly suitable for this outfit. You are so handsome. Well, so why did Yuki come to see my sister? I want to ask my sister about Ellie. Is there any progress between you two? Tienhaize raised his head and looked at his sister standing in front of him. Tienhaize Hiksu shook her head. I want a gift from Ellie. Want a gift? Tienhaize thought for a second. If you want a gift, you can tell him directly. Although Xiao's character will definitely not mind or refuse, but as a girl, you should not take the initiative to ask for it from a man. The gift must be good, otherwise it will be easy to get into very troublesome disputes. Ellie said the same thing. Then he's quite right, teaching you so many things. Ling said that he could give Ellie a gift first. After Tienhaize heard this, he agreed, this is also a good idea. So Yuki came to see my sister because she wanted to know what gift to give Xiao. Yuki is really cute. Tienhaize smiled and reached out to touch his sister's head, and then earnestly helped her make suggestions. What does Xiao like? Fried ice cream. That's what you like. Ellie also likes it. This thing can't be used as a gift, and you don't know how to make it. Let me think about it. Tienhaize thought about this for a while, and suddenly saw the guitar behind Yuki, and continued to say to her with a smile. Giving gifts is too cliché. Yuki, don't you know how to make songs? How about taking advantage of this trip to make a song for him alone? Rock and roll. Do whatever you know how to do. Tienhaize leaned back on the seat, stretched his hands to both sides, crossed his white right leg, raised his lollipop and closed his eyes and said. Actually, when it comes to gifts, leave aside some people who only like money. What most people value is the thoughtfulness of the gift. If you buy what he urgently needs at that time, he will definitely like it because you have observed his thoughts. This means that you care about the other person. If you spend weeks or even months carefully crafting a handmade work and give it to him, he will definitely like it because it represents your serious attitude and sincere feelings for him. Tianhaiza continued, it doesn't matter if you don't understand Yuki, you just need to know that your biggest weapon against Xiao is the word sincerity. Tianhai's Higsu looked at her sister silently. Single, innocent, sincere, always willing to listen to what the other person says, and obey obediently. Even my sister would like such a girl. Tianhaizu reached out and touched her sister's head again, smiling. As a sister, she can see that Yuki treats Xiao sincerely. It's just that Yuki doesn't know how to express true feelings, and has always treated Xiao with a dependent mentality of respect and liking. Yuki often told herself about Xiao Li's kid taking her to McDonald's and the aquarium alone, and about Xiao Li taking her to make music together and help make videos. You know, this would have been unthinkable before. In Tianhai's impression, Yuki has always been the lonely girl who would just sit quietly by the window and look out the window into the distance. She never takes the initiative to talk to anyone, and never takes the initiative to trouble others. The illness she often forgets makes her look very sluggish, as if she only has a basic appetite left. No wonder the old man said after visiting Yuki that the choice he made was the right one. If there's nothing wrong with Yuki, go find Ling. Amamai Azusa withdrew his hand. After his sister left, he couldn't help but look at Raku Sakakibara who was talking to Tsukimi Sato Mishika. A boy like Xiao Li who takes his family very seriously, has no complaints about family matters, and is always willing to show sympathy and care for each other is the most rare and valuable thing, right? If you can interact with him one-on-one, you will definitely be happy. Although he is a scumbag now. Tianhaiza probably understands why Xiaoqi and Xiaju like Xiao. What they have always wanted is Xiao's serious and responsible attitude. It's really a bad fate. Azusa Amamai smiled slightly and looked away from Raku Sakakibara's face. She looked at the sky, thinking about something in her mind. She was thinking that this trip to Hawaii would most likely lead to a major breakthrough in the relationship between several people. Xiao will have to thank her aunt for the rest of her life. Asterisk. 9:55 a.m. sharp. An ANA flight from Haneda, Tokyo to the Hawaiian Islands officially boarded. The stewardess with a polite smile told the flight members in turn to put their luggage in the luggage rack, sit firmly and fasten their seat belts. Raku Sakakibara, Yuki Amamai, and Suzu Sakakihara sat in a row. Because it was Yuki's first time to fly, Sakakihara's Suzu asked her to sit outside by the window. It was my first time to fly. I was so happy. After all, it was my first time to fly. Ling also took the plane with Ellie. This is. Hearing this, Amamai no Yuki went to see Sakakibara Raku more. Seeing his figure and profile, the first thing that came to the girl's mind was that she wanted him to hold her and sit with her. However, this idea was quickly interrupted by Sakakihara's Suzu, who kept talking about the situation when she was flying on a plane when she was a child. 5 minutes later, the plane began to change direction and entered the runway. At this time, Tianhai's Higsu could clearly feel the seat below moving. 20 minutes later, the crew's pre-takeoff inspection was completed, and the flight attendant once again motioned to the passengers to fasten their seat belts. 25 minutes later, the engines began to roar, the circular air conditioning dial above the head sprayed cool air, and the plane began to run and taxi. Tianhai's Higsu felt the fuselage vibrate slightly, and the sound of wheels sliding on the ground gradually became louder. Suddenly, the sound of the plane's engine became louder and the wheels accelerated rapidly. As the speed increased, Tianhai's Higsu felt that the scene ahead began to blur, and the scenery outside the window seemed to be flying by. After just over a minute of sprint acceleration, the plane officially took off. The wheel left the ground, and suddenly a strong upward force pressed her tightly. Amidst the roar of the aircraft engine, she looked out the window. The clouds were getting closer and closer, the sky was getting brighter and brighter, and those buildings and the entire prosperous Tokyo gradually became smaller and smaller in her sight. Only then did she truly feel that she was flying into the sky. How about it? Isn't it interesting to fly for the first time? Suzu Sakakihara said in her ear. Amamai no Yuki responded, taking another look at Sakakibara Raku, and had some inspiration in her mind for the song she was going to give him next. Asterisk. Tokyo is a total of 6 hours by plane from Hawaii. Not too long. But for many students who have been excited all night, it is also a rare time to catch up on sleep. More than 6 hours and 10 minutes later, the plane officially docked. The students got off the plane one by one and went through security check at the airport. This place is full of tourists from all over the world. They are laughing and communicating in countless languages that they cannot understand. It was the first time for many classmates to see so many blonde and blue-eyed people in various ethnic costumes at this airport. They were so novel that they couldn't stop talking and kept communicating with their classmates. Suzu Sakakihara pulled her handbag, looked at the time on her watch, and then looked at the sky outside the transparent glass of the terminal building, and said doubtfully, "It doesn't feel like 5 o'clock in the afternoon." Before she could finish her words, she was flicked on the forehead again. Sakakihara Suzu covered her forehead and said angrily, "Who is it? Why are you flicking my forehead again?" "It's me." When I looked up, I realized it was Tienhaizi, who was smiling very kindly. Sakakihara Suzu didn't know why, but she could never lose her temper in front of this aunt. Azusa Amamai pointed at Sakakibara Suzu's watch and said, "Suzu, please don't forget that we are on the other side of the earth now. Hawaii time is 9 hours behind Tokyo time, and Hawaii is 10 hours behind the international date line, so a total of 19 hours late, and the current time is a little over 3:30 p.m. the day before. So. Otherwise," Tienhaizi asked with a smile. "With one less day, don't we have one more day off?" "What are you thinking about?" Raku Sakakihara turned to answer her, scorning this truly idiotic sister. "Why don't you go back according to Tokyo time?" "Oh." Sakakihara Suzu suddenly saw something, her eyes suddenly widened, she pointed at the familiar figure in the team on the other side and said, wait. Why do I see Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai?" She rubbed her eyes and saw the fox looking back at her. I dazzled. Raku Sakakihara really wanted to make a fist and punch her in the head. "Didn't you see that the students from classes 3 and 5 got on the plane with us before we left?" "No. Brother, why are they here?" "Who am I asking you to ask me?" "As expected, the ghost is still here," Sakakihara Suzu muttered while carrying her suitcase. Sakakibara glanced sideways at his dissatisfied sister. "Maybe they are just a coincidence." "Ghost letter? There are so many second-grade classes, why do they choose the same destination as us?" Sakakihara Suzu suddenly felt a bad feeling in her heart. This Hawaiian vacation. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Thanks to the visa-free policy, a group of people can log into the Hawaiian Islands with just their fingerprints. When you walk out of the terminal, your eyes are instantly surrounded by the beautiful sky, green mountains, and the city on the horizon. The air is full of tropical atmosphere, full of softness, warmth, and the wind blowing in the face seems to be carrying the smell of sea water and earth. As soon as Sakakihara Suzu came out, she felt that the wind was very strong and the sky was very vast. The area around the airport is all flat, and except for the sky above, you can only see layers of cirrocumulus and altocumulus clouds. She stood on the ground and put her feet up to look out, but she could only feel the endless emptiness. Compared with the Tokyo urban agglomeration, which is full of high-rise buildings and narrow streets, it is much wider. Why does it feel like the United States is so big? Well, Sakakibara replied, for various reasons. Tsukimi Sato Michiko waved in front and shouted, "Everyone! Get ready to go to the city." "Good. The students, who were carrying large and small bags, saw the teacher waving and replied in a long voice. Asterisk. The school arranges hotel accommodation in the city. Although it is an archipelago, Honolulu, as the capital of the state of Hawaii, is still quite developed. The city cluster that Sakakihara Suzu had just seen on the skyline was here. There are 3 classes coming to Hawaii, and each class is led by 2 teachers. Naturally, they have to arrange accommodation as soon as they get off the plane. By the time all these things were arranged one by one, it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Sakakihara Suzu lay directly on the big bed in Amami no Yuki's bedroom. Why do I feel so tired just after I got off the plane? Because the teacher had to arrange a meeting at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, she simply lay down in the bedroom for this hour. The more she thought about Chi Minjio and Juliuli coming over, the more uneasy she felt. A school trip, do you want to come with me? Are these 2 foxes so hungry that they have to meet my brother? Uncomfortable. Not satisfied. Not happy. Sakakihara Suzu frowned, thinking so in her heart. Even though they regard them as good family members, every time they have any emotional interactions with their elder brother, they become particularly uncomfortable. And I also have the idea of meeting them recently. She had a premonition. The 2 foxes will definitely approach their brother secretly during this trip. Then I was deceived by their appearance and became soft-hearted. Ah! Then the good days between myself and Yuki are over. At that time, my brother would hang around the 2 of them again, and he would not be able to say a word to himself and Yuki all day long. How does this work? Suzu Sakakihara quickly took out her phone and tried her best to read the news about the bonfire party that night posted by Azusa Amami in the group, and she made a decision in her heart. On this study trip to Hawaii, we must definitely prevent Kiju from meeting my brother. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 319. Foreigners. Foreigners, lots of foreigners. In the evening after arriving at Hawaii Island, at the open-air restaurant by the beach, Tianhai's Hixia crossed her hands on the coconut wooden railings and stared intently at the mature women with blonde hair and blue eyes. Even in full view of the public, they were wearing a fairly open 3-point swimsuit. Girls are curious about their hair color, the way they speak, their body language, and how they dress. Sakakihara, Fujino Yoshiyuki said quickly in a low voice, are all Americans so open-minded? A 3-point swimsuit is just worn out like this? They still have such a hot figure. It's just a different culture. Raku Sakakibara sat next to Amami Nizuki, with his hands on the high stool. That's true, but this is something that would be unimaginable in China, Nishijima Ogai said quickly. He held the camera and took a picture of the 2 foreign women. Hey, isn't it good to secretly photograph people like this? How is this a candid photo? It's fair and above board, okay. And you don't care about people. As Ogai Nishijima said, when the women chatting with drinks discovered the camera, not only did they not refuse, but they complied and made poses suitable for shooting. At sunset, on the beach, in the ocean, the blonde beauty in a swimsuit raised her arms towards herself, showing off her hot figure. Fujino Yoshiyuki almost sprayed nosebleeds into the juice in his hand. West Island, you really made the right choice in Hawaii, shoot quickly. This is serious photography, and I shoot beautiful things. Stop talking nonsense. What are you doing? Asked another boy from behind. Nishijima is taking pictures of beauties in swimsuits, Fujino replied casually. What? Come on, show me quickly. Not only the 2 of them, but other boys in the class noticed the movement between the 2 and gathered around them out of curiosity. However, The two foreign beauties were very cooperative, smiling and teasing the young boys intentionally or unintentionally. The young boys who had never seen the world had never seen the scene before, and they suddenly became a noisy group. This was also despised by the girls who lined up to buy snacks and drinks. Poor. It's so evil. Boys are the worst. There are handsome foreign muscular guys over there, another girl shouted. Ah. Where? Where? Let me see. Screaming, excited, screaming. So handsome, the girls all drawled their voices in unison. Sakakibara silently distanced himself from them, and said to Amami Yuki, who was lying on the guardrail watching the sunset on the beach. Yuki, don't learn those moves. Don't you like it? It's just that it's still too early for you, Yuki. Tianhai's Higsu didn't reply, but turned her little head, lying down like a cat, and continued to look at the sea. The coconut trees are blown by the sea breeze, the waves gently lap on the beach, the red sun falls into the ocean, and the afterglow fills the sky, dyeing the sea golden. What sounded in the distance was the high-pitched song of seagulls. So beautiful, Tianhai's Higsu's eyes reflected the golden color of the beach. Beautiful, we just got here. Sakakibara lay on the same coconut wood railing as her, the skin of his hands pressed against her tender skin, and he said with a smile, there will be many beautiful scenic spots tomorrow. You can watch, I will take you one by one. Do you want to go out together tomorrow? Well, there are activities, and it's a trip after all. At the entrance of the open-air restaurant, Tianhaizi appeared in front of everyone wearing a straw hat and smiling. Tsukimi Sato-kyung, who was with her, clapped her hands and motioned for the students to look over. Boys over there. Stop looking at the pretty girls. Hey. Nishi's Hima, go a little to the right, slap your chest, slap your chest. Asshole. Shoot your belly. A voluptuous belly is the essence. Thighs. Thighs. It's better to talk about my ass. It doesn't make sense. Tsukimi Ridojing saw that the group of boys didn't even listen to a single word she said. Her eyelids jumped wildly. She clenched her fists and approached, punching each one, pulling all the boys back. All of them sat back in their seats, feeling aggrieved. Tianhaizi snickered from the side. Okay, I won't take up too much of your time. I know you just got off the plane and want to walk around. Just let the monk finish. Yujian Li Daojing didn't care that Tianhaizi said her nickname in front of all the students. She made a fist with her right hand and coughed twice, and then said, okay, students, please be quiet. Tomorrow we will officially start our study trip to Hawaii Island. Before introducing tomorrow's arrangements, I would like to briefly introduce to you the general distribution map of Hawaii Island and various famous places. Location. Azusa Amami brought out a small blackboard, and teacher Tsukimi posted a map of Hawaii Island on the blackboard and marked the locations of various facilities. We are now located in Honolulu, on the south coast of Oahu, Hawaii. This is the capital and largest city of the state of Hawaii. Our school trip activities will officially start here tomorrow. Fujino Yoshiyuki raised his hand. Teacher. Why do we need to have activities? Isn't it good to move freely? Tsukimi Rido-kyung crossed his arms and said, I know you like to play, but be careful, this is a school trip. The most important thing about a school trip is to understand the local culture, learn, experience and understand different regions, cultures, customs, and habits. So, it is essential to carry out thematic activities. As she spoke, with the entire class watching, she turned around and wrote down the activity goals and activity schedule for the first day of the school trip on the blackboard. Asterisk. Event name, Hawaii Island Food Exploration. Activity time, starts at 8 o'clock on the first day and ends at 8 p.m. Locations, all over Oahu. Activity process. 1. Organization method, Each group of 2 people will be given a general map of Hawaiian food and a food record document. 2 action requirements: participants will explore food on the entire island of Oahu. By the end of the event, the team that has explored more food will win. Participants need to take pictures of the food, record the cultural origin of the food, and mark the export price, approximate production materials and other information. It is best to include a description of the taste. 3. Competition: the first group to complete the tasting and answer questions will receive an additional reward. 4. After the activity, 6 teachers will count and score the answer cards, and announce the winning group based on the scores. Precautions: 1. Please students participate in activities on time and do not arrive late or leave early. 2. During the activities, students are asked to pay attention to their own safety and abide by local laws and regulations. 3. Please try not to waste food and respect the local food culture. 4. Students are asked to keep the team neat, civilized, and orderly, and do not litter. 5. Students need to pay for the food themselves, which will be reimbursed to the school after the event. The cost must not exceed the specified upper limit. 6. During the activity, students are asked to take good care of their belongings to avoid loss or theft. Asterisk. After listing the information one by one, everyone has a rough idea of how this game activity should be played. Just find people to form a team, and then try to find as much food as possible in this huge tourist destination. Is this okay? When Sakeki Harasuzu heard this, she became excited. Teacher Tsukimirai turned around and put down the chalk. In addition, this event will be carried out by 3 classes at the same time. In other words, we have students from the other 2 classes as opponents. When the students heard this, they started whispering among themselves. It's not that this activity is confrontational and they feel embarrassed, but they don't know why they are confrontational. They are just collecting food and taking photos. Teacher, a girl raised her hand and asked. Please tell me, Tianhaiza said. Aren't there any rewards for this event? While Tianhaiza was smiling, she tapped her beautiful face with her index finger. She smiled under her straw hat and said. Of course. Michikage Tsukimi, in the selection of the class, the first place will be rewarded with all travel expenses reimbursed for this event. Tianhaizi added with a smile, that's everything including the small gifts you bought. Fujino Yoshiyuki immediately raised his arm, then I want to buy a B-2 stealth strategic bomber. There happens to be a base here. The whole class looked at him with a look like you're here to make trouble, right? Tsukimi Ridojing clenched his fists, twitched the corners of his mouth and closed his eyes as he said. Of course. The overall price cannot exceed 500,000 yen. 500,000 yen is quite a lot. Although most of the classmates present are from well-off families, their parents will not give them that much money at all. This alone was enough to excite the students present. Sakeki Harasuzu is not very interested in this, but I have my own brother who transferred 200 million yen to me casually. But she is happy to eat more food. Tianhaiza still maintained a beautiful smile, and she raised a finger to everyone. In addition, the student who ranks first among the 3 classes that night will receive the right to live in a beach villa on Hawaii Island. In the villa here, there are butlers, maids, and unlimited seafood feasts. There are also countless luxurious modern facilities. Speedboats. As long as you get first place, all of this will belong to you. As soon as she finished speaking, the whole place was silent for a moment, and then it suddenly became excited again. All the students crowded together and whispered, discussing the excitement of this prize. Did they hear it correctly? Beach house residency? Is the school rich enough to give away a beachfront property in Hawaii? Not only can you eat delicious food, but there is also a maid yacht. Long live the principal! Long live the principal! Long live the principal! Long live the principal! The boys raised their arms and shouted. The girls were also chattering excitedly. Ahem, Tsukimi Satomi faced the audience, paused for a second, and then continued, "First of all, regarding this prize, I need to emphasize that it is only a temporary right of residence and can only be used during holidays." Cut. I thought the school was giving away a mansion on the beach. That's right. Why don't you give away a mansion? Anyway, the school has so much funding every year, so giving away a mansion is more than enough. Of course these are all jokes, but in fact, this reward is quite exciting. As long as you win tomorrow, you will have the right to use the mansion for 14 days during this holiday. Needless to say, there are beautiful scenery, unlimited seafood dinners, and regular housekeepers and maids to take care of daily life. Just thinking about it is exciting. Tsukimi Sato Michikage added, "Of course it is up to you to decide how the mansion is. There is no problem in that place accommodating a whole class of students. After the daytime activities are over, you can do whatever you want. Of course, except for the two winners, the rest of the students still have to go back to the hotel to stay at night. Tianhaize, you can freely form teams in the following time. After the team is over, the list will be reported to the monk, and then you can disband." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire open-air restaurant became lively, surrounded by classmates who were chattering and whispering about forming a team with their friends. "Does the squad leader have any teammates? Consider me. Monitor. Monitor, you can consider me. To some extent, being popular is not a good thing. I'm sorry, although I would love to have the opportunity to perform this activity with you, but I already have a teammate. Is that so? Disappointment is inevitable in the words of those who are rejected. Can I ask who it is? Yuki-chan. Yes. Everyone was relieved when they heard it. It's really her. I heard that the squad leader always takes care of her because of some connections. Sakakihara smiled and replied, "As a band member, I care about her a little, so everyone must know some things about her." Yeah, I understand, then I won't disturb the monitor. Good. Squad leader, I'm also looking for other people to form a team. No problem. Yuki is a little special in the class. She can reply when you talk to her, but anyone can see that her dazed look is very abnormal. The only explanation for this is that he was ill for a long time when he was a child, which caused his personality. All in all, she is a girl who is taken care of by everyone and will not be disturbed. Sakakibara knows that some boys like her appearance, but they can only watch them from a distance, because she basically doesn't talk too much to others and can't get close. Xiao Le. Amami Azusa suddenly hugged Sakakibara Raku's neck from behind. "Does your sister agree?" Agreed, she asked Tiano to form a team. Azusa Amami put her face close to Sakakibara Raku's shoulder, and looked at Amami Yuki, who was still lying down looking at the sea. The girl's beige hair swayed with the sea breeze, and her delicate profile was dyed cherry color as the sunset gradually disappeared. That's good. I don't feel comfortable leaving Yuki to anyone else, because she always likes to run around when she sees food, and disappears if she's not careful. Does she get lost easily? After all, I have no memory. Tianhaize spread his hands helplessly. I am a silly sister. I am worried that she will not be able to get married in the future. Who would like this wife who has no memory and knows nothing? Yuki still has many advantages. After listening to this, Sakakihara felt that he couldn't comment on Yuki like this at all. Tianhaize shook his head. Those advantages are nothing. Pretty. Obedient. Can play the guitar? What's the use of that? In the future, Yuki will most likely marry a young man from a rich family. What do they have? There are more beautiful girls every day. Even if you feel new to Yuki because of her beauty, it will pass quickly. Men are like this. Do they care about those advantages? No, even if Yuki works hard to learn how to be a wife for them, it is still not as simple as hiring a nanny for them. In their eyes, Yuki is just a person who cannot be beaten or scolded. A vase, what matters is always the contribution she brings, not what she is like. Sakakihara said dumbly, that's not it. Tianhaiza shook his head seriously again. From the perspective of my sisters, this is indeed the case. The home does not feel like home, and the husband does not look like husband. Even if my brothers-in-law did go out to have a good time and have a good time, they would not care at all. On the surface, they still have to behave externally. The family looks so loving, but in fact they don't even say hello after returning home. Don't think that a big family can have a harmonious and beautiful marriage as advertised on the surface. If everyone is forced to pair up and become independent, their separate lives will be over. And what about Yuki? She doesn't understand the ins and outs of the family. She won't be able to help the family or her husband when she gets married. She is even less able to be independent like her sisters. She will only rely on freshness. Afterwards, he was abandoned in a corner, and his life became very bleak. Azusa Amami sighed sincerely, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but move upward. She took a peek at Raku Sakakihara, who was silent and deep in thought, and then patted his shoulder. You must take good care of Yuki tomorrow. Asterisk. At 8 o'clock in the evening, in front of a busy hotel on the coastline of Honolulu, Tianhai Julie Yulai waited until Tianhai Kaimingyu appeared. When the twin sisters met, they didn't look good on each other. Some of them just looked like two people with indifferent relationships exchanging information. How about it? As expected, there is a team composed of brother and aunt. Tianhai Kaimingyu raised her eyes and looked at her sister. Where is sister? Aunt Zi indeed arranged for our 3 classes to travel together on this school trip. It seems that my sister's presence is helpful. The cooperation is barely pleasant. Tianhai Julie Yulai would not be angry because of this little provocation from his sister. He just waved his right hand and said with a confident and calm smile, Kyo must understand that we are now cooperating out of necessity. I need you to evaluate your sister's actions. Sister answered my words, so naturally she cares about my evaluation. Sister is just deceiving herself. Tianhai Julie Yulai didn't care and said gently, Kyo, as a sister, you can be naughty. As a sister, I must learn to tolerate your behavior. Tianhai Kaimingyu doesn't like this the most right now. Her face is cold, her hands are folded across her chest, and her eyes are as cold as ice. Come on, I don't need your tolerance. You're going to do this tomorrow. Do I need to report to you, sister? We are still part of a group for this activity. So what? If we can't find the right person, and if we have the same goal at this stage and need forced cooperation, I would rather just drag someone in than join you. Kyo, how dare you say that? If my sister hadn't seen that no one asked you to form a team dash. Do you mean you pity me? Tianhai Kaimingyu put down her arms. Otherwise, Tianhai Julie Yulai said dissatisfiedly after being interrupted. Hey, sister is still so arrogant. I'm just stating the facts. It's up to you, sister. That's up to you in July. Under the bustling streetlights, the 2 sisters parted on bad terms. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 320. Suzuki-chan, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Sakai Chitano and Sakakihara Suzu waved goodbye in the corridor. Sakakihara Suzu returned to her bedroom while humming a tune while lowering her head to scroll through her phone. She took out her room card, swiped the smart lock, and the door slid open gently. Then, Sakakibara Suzu inserted the room card into the switch on the wall, and the lights in the room gradually turned on. The gauze curtains blew gently with the sea breeze blowing from the balcony, and the room was filled with the fresh smell of hotel detergent and the ocean. Feeling this comfort and warmth, Sakakibara Suzu raised her arms and let out a satisfied moan. Hama. She came to the balcony, and the smell of the ocean was even stronger all around. Opposite the railing was the endless sea sparkling under the moonlight. The curved coconut trees on the coastline in the lower right corner are also swaying with the vitality of early summer under the influence of the sea breeze. The wind blowing became stronger, stripping the heat from the skin of Sakakibara Suzu's face and flying away into the night sky. Although she felt a little bit jealous about not being able to team up with her brother to eat delicious food tomorrow. But it didn't matter. Apart from the fact that she and Tiano could follow the sneaky brother, she also discovered the fox who came to peek in their class tonight. This is a big deal. This means that the fox will definitely take action tomorrow. Thinking about how to stop the two foxes with Tiano tomorrow, Suzu Sakakihara wanted to concentrate more, but suddenly heard music coming from the balcony next door. Looking over there, I saw Tianhai's Higsu holding a guitar on the balcony, facing the sea. "Yuki, you still have to practice songs even though it's so late." The hands plucked and adjusted the strings intermittently, and the chords decomposed by the hands were like water splashes. After subtle emphasis, the melody emerged clearly in the air. Suzu Sakakihara's understanding of music theory is limited to the surface, but she can also hear the emotions hidden in Yuki's music. She leaned on the wooden railing of the balcony and listened carefully for a long time with her face propped up. The rhythm of Yuki's song is a medium slow 4/4 beat, which gives people an ethereal and lazy feeling. It is mainly based on beautiful melody and has a strong sense of rhythm, which makes people feel the smoothness of the melody and the emotional expression. Depth. As for the style of the beginning, a clear and loud tone is used in the beginning, paired with her own thin and soft voice, creating a mysterious, dreamy, and ethereal atmosphere. The atmosphere is very strong, but Yuki's voice is a bit rigid. Sakakihara Suzu approached the railing and quietly felt the sea breeze. The light gray coconut trees were bathed in the moonlight, and the waves on the beach surged gently. Cars drive along the bustling streets along the coast, and the light reflected from the twinkling beach bars is mesmerizing. In the breeze, a lone seagull soared in the night sky and issued a long call. Continuing to look to the side, countless bright high-rise buildings reflected the moonlight, which was confusing. The sound of the guitar and singing echoed in my ears as if they were echoing in my mind. "It sounds pretty good." Sakakihara Suzu smiled and continued to listen to the sound of her piano drifting into the distance in the night. Asterisk. The quiet sea breeze and the lively street market below the hotel. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Raku Sakakihara put his hands on the balcony, quietly looking at the Hawaiian beaches and streets below him. Although the vacation has not officially started yet, he felt a sense of satisfaction from taking off to landing, and then everyone gathered together to set foot on unfamiliar territory. But after everyone went back to bed and rested, in the dead of night, standing alone in a tall hotel in the city, the feeling of loneliness came over me involuntarily. Sakakibara thought about the source of this feeling of loneliness. He thought that apart from worrying about the mood of Kiju, whom he had not seen for a long time, the rest was probably because he heard what Tianhaiza said to him at the outdoor restaurant. "There is always something in my heart that I can't let go of Yuki. When I hear her story and what happened, I think of how lonely she was in her room playing the guitar after being hated by her sisters. In the Tianhai family's mansion, which is big enough to accommodate hundreds of people, it is the only place where she can listen. The sound she heard was the bird on the branch outside the window, right?" Sakakibara sighed. This feeling of loneliness made him feel a little heavy. He looked into the distance, and the sea water connected with the sky, as if his state of mind was submerged in it. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath of sea breeze, and silently thought about his goal in his mind, then turned and walked into his room, ready to have a good night's rest. Dong dong. However, as soon as he stepped out of the balcony, he heard two short knocks on the door. Sakakibara approached, opened the door, and found a familiar girl standing outside. She raised her head, looked at him, and shouted softly, "Happy." "Yuki, Sakakihara Raku was a little surprised. Why are you here? Can't sleep. You can't sleep either. So here's to having fun. She came to look for him in the middle of the night. Sakakihara Le didn't have any objections, and he was even used to Yuki coming to look for him. It's just her clothes. Her hair was spread back, her white shirt was unbuttoned at all, and the entire dress was in an open state hanging around the girl's body. In addition to the semicircular balls on both sides of the white collarbone, you can also see the small belly button on her smooth belly. Even the thighs were exposed to the air in white. It can't be considered wearing clothes at all. Sakakibara looked around to make sure there was no one in the corridor, then quickly pulled her into the room and closed the door. Yuki stood by the wall, and Sakakihara looked at her up and down again. Why don't you put on your clothes? Forgot Tianhai's Higsu looked down at her stomach. My hair is also a mess. You didn't comb it after taking a shower? Did you just wait for it to dry? Didn't Aling help? No. Sakakibara Raku remembered that Suzu went out with Tiano tonight and didn't know what she was doing, but she most likely went back to her room when she came back. Forget it, I won't ask any more questions. Come in, and I'll find a comb from the hotel to comb your hair. Good. Upon hearing this, Amami no Yuki obediently followed Sakakibara Raku's instructions and came to the bed, climbed onto the bed, and waited for him to find the hotel comb to comb her hair. Sakakihara sat behind her and looked around her thin white neck. He could still see that her clothes were half covered. Sit down obediently. Also, tie the buttons for me. How? I forgot how to tie it. Amami no Yuki turned her head sideways and looked at Raku Sakakibara, who was sitting half a head taller than herself. Sakakihara Raku. Yuki, did you do this on purpose? Forget it, sit upright with your back to me, and I'll tie it for you. Front. Shouldn't I just see you from the front? Just naked. Don't say it so casually. Sakakibara unhappily buttoned her shirt one by one from the back. When it reached the chest, he directly grabbed both sides of the girl's shirt and pulled it toward the middle, then buttoned the shirt in the middle. Don't make weird noises. Le is so rude. Sakakihara Raku found that sometimes he couldn't tell whether Yuki did it on purpose or not. Anyway, in short, these are the lines I learned from TV. That voice might be real. Next, Sakakihara slowly helped Yuki comb her hair. Every time the comb passed over her silky hair, a scent filled the air. Every time he combed her hair, Sakakihara felt like he was taking care of a child. Because not only did she appear well behaved at this time, her legs were also dangling beside the bed. As he combed his hair, Tianhai's Higsu leaned against him. She leaned her body back and rested her head on Sakakibara's chest. Look at him face up. Sakakihara lowered his head and saw the girl's reversed face. Her plump and beautiful forehead was revealed, and her eyes were blinking at him. Do what? I want a hug. Damn it, it really makes people's hearts beat wildly. Why do you have to hug me every day? Because I can't sleep. In order not to obey the coquettishness of the girl in front of him, Sakakibara restrained himself as much as possible. No. Why? No one acts coquettishly every day. Even parents will scold such a clingy child. Perhaps Amami no Yuki saw that Sakakibara Raku didn't agree to hug her, so she blinked again and said, Raku is my brother. The same. Angry. You don't look angry at all. Le is angry. Me? I'm even less angry because Amamizuki hugged Sakakibara Raku's body, and when he was dazed, she wrapped her arms around his and got into his chest, rubbing her head against his chest affectionately. Sakakihara Raku, who couldn't resist her coquettishness, was stunned on the spot. The fragrance of her hair, the fragrance of her body, and the scorching warmth on her chest that made her feel unbearably itchy, all seemed to tell the story of the girl's closeness to him. "Yes, it's really a kitten." Why are you so clingy?" Sakakibara's tone suddenly became much slower. "Can't sleep." "Yuki, do you know why you can't sleep? You must be thinking of something. We're going out together tomorrow. Just because of this. I also want to talk to Ellie." "What do you mean you want to talk to me? It gets boring when you're alone." "Boring? Will even Yuki feel bored? On weekdays, wouldn't she be able to spend her time slowly just by staring at something in a daze?" Sakakibara let the girl lean into his arms, and his words resonated deeply with her. Maybe it's because he hasn't had a heart-to-heart talk with anyone for a long time, and the person he was in his previous life ran away again. Sakakibara can more or less understand Yuki's thoughts now. "Yuki, do you want someone to talk to you now?" Then why are you looking for me instead of Ling?" "Suzuki-chan is sleeping. I want to see if Raku is still asleep." "So you came to knock on your own door, right?" Tianhai's Higsu felt indescribable peace of mind in his arms. She was like a child who got a warm quilt and lay quietly on his chest. Coquettish, close, dependent. This is the sense of fulfillment that comes from her experience. This feeling gave Sakakibara the satisfaction of being touched and relied on. This is not the sense of satisfaction that comes after liking is satisfied, but the sense of responsibility that comes from being relied upon and trusted by someone to care for them. This kind of happiness, so-called family, is nothing more than that. And this is exactly what Tianhai's Higsu has been lacking in the past 16 years. "I want to go to a lot of places with fun tomorrow." Lying in his arms, Tianhai's Higsu, who had just said that he was not sleepy, soon struggled with his eyelids and gradually closed them. She said she was not sleepy, which was most likely true. She fell asleep so quickly, probably because she entered a very peaceful state. "I can't help but think so." Sakakibara couldn't help but take a second look at her sleeping face in his arms, because she was much shorter than him, and her body was even smaller than his own, so her whole body looked petite and small. Higsu's appearance reminded him of a Ling from before. He always shouts brother, and then rolls around on his body at will. Such closeness and affection cannot be imitated no matter what. Yuki, that's it now. So trusted. So dependent. So believed. As a human being, how could he not respond to her closeness? Take her to experience more beautiful things in the world and see more beautiful scenery. Asterisk. The next Thursday morning at 7 o'clock. Raku Sakakihara opened the curtains, and under the sunlight of the rising sun, it was so piercing that people were forced to close their eyes. In Hawaii, a holiday destination, even at such a time, the beaches under the sun are already crowded with people wearing swimsuits and become very lively. Seeing the blue scene of the sea and sky, Raku Sakakihara took a deep breath, feeling relaxed and happy. The sea laps against the rocks, mixed with the sounds of seagulls and crowds, rising up from the beach. This is called a holiday. Sakakibara turned around with a smile. Yuki. Get up. The girl's cheeks, which were illuminated by the sun, did not react. She was sleeping peacefully with Sakakihara Raku's quilt between her legs. The thigh was dazzlingly white and exposed, and the pink right foot was so clean that it seemed to have a different kind of fragrance. Yuki. Get up. Sakakibara began to disassemble the equipment on her body. About 10 seconds later, until Tianhai's Higsu, who was holding the quilt, was dragged out of bed, the girl who was confused about the situation responded blankly in her sleepy eyes. Don't you want to continue touching? Touch what? Chest. When did I touch you? Last night. I put Lee's hand up. After Tianhai's Higsu finished speaking, she put her own hand up. Tianhai's Higsu rubbed her eyes and continued lazily, at night, when I came back from the bathroom, Ellie held me in my arms and dreamed of Xiaoqi again. Let's make it clear first. You should be the one who took the initiative to sleep in my arms again. Ah, my quilt. Sakakihara pulled her quilt apart and ordered, "It's my quilt." "Okay, don't say that I don't have these, get up quickly." Tianhai's Higsu obviously didn't wake up. Within 2 seconds of standing up, she opened her hands and lay down on the hotel bed again, her face expressionless and her eyes dim. She only had a white shirt on her upper body and a pair of shorts on her lower body. Most of her skin was exposed, and the beauty of the girl's body was clearly visible. "What are you doing? Why are you lying back again? Please strip me naked, I don't mind." "I mind." After fussing for a long time, Sakakihara went to her room to find a white dress for her, helped her put it on, combed her hair, washed her face, put a small sunflower straw hat on her head, and adjusted the position in front of the mirror. To finish cleaning it up for her. "Huh, I'm exhausted. The music is too slow." "Who is slow? Let's go, I'll take Ellie out." "You don't need to hold me back." "About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple." Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Lan. Chapter 321. Muscle cars, pickup trucks. Swimwear, holiday shorts, Hawaiian grass skirts, aloha shirts with bright patterns. Countless tourists make the city lively. People on the street wear light shorts and shorts, walking, hanging out, and running. People sat on roadside terraces drinking coffee and listening to tropical music playing in the store next door. There are pieces of handicrafts on display inside, with strange bright colors and exaggerated carvings. Tianhai's Higsu walked on the glass bridge and stared at the indigenous wood-carved masks displayed in the window on the edge of the pedestrian street. "Does it look good?" Raku Sakakihara asked the girl in the sunflower straw hat next to him while holding the camera. "It's so ugly." "This is called indigenous art, a handicraft rich in national cultural characteristics," Sakakihara tried to argue. "It's still ugly. So straightforward." Sakakibara took a photo inside the window, reviewed it, and prepared the photo for his travel diary. "Come on Yuki, the event has just started and we are going to have breakfast." "What's for breakfast?" "Specialty cuisine." Taking a taxi, Sakakibara took Yuki to the most famous local breakfast shop Cinnamon's to taste Hawaiian specialty breakfast, mug pancakes and macadamia nut syrup. Mug pancakes are small, easy to make pancakes usually served in a mug or cup, hence the name. Different seasonings and toppings can be added to pancakes, such as fruits, chocolate chips, blueberries, etc., to make the taste richer. To Raku Sakakibara, who had never tasted this before, this was just a fresh fruit pizza. Macadamia nut syrup. Macadamia nut syrup is a common Hawaiian specialty syrup. It is made from Australian specialty macadamia nuts, added with sugar and water, and boiled. It's rich, sweet but not overpowering, and seems to be one of the common ingredients in Hawaiian breakfasts. Why are nuts, a specialty of Australia, a specialty breakfast in Hawaii? When the foreign waiter in a vest and red collar served the meal, Raku Sakakihara asked him in fluent English. The waiter seemed quite enthusiastic and explained with a smile. "Sir, it is said that in 1879, a Hawaiian named Walter Murray Gibson received some macadamia nuts from local planters during his trip to Australia. He brought these back to Hawaii to plant and grow them." Promotion. The growing conditions of this nut in Hawaii are very suitable, and it gradually became a local specialty and began to be widely used in local food culture. In my case, macadamia nut pie and macadamia nut syrups are all classic Hawaiian specialties. "I see." Sakakibara put down the note-taking pen, raised his head and asked, "Is this nut also used in other delicacies?" "Yes, for example, macadamia cookies, macadamia cakes, macadamia butter, etc. In addition, Macadamia nuts can also be used as an ingredient in salads or other dishes. While the waiter explained, Sakakibara took notes. It seems this restaurant really came to the right place. If you ask the waiter carefully, he will be able to come up with 5 or 6 kinds of special delicacies. Raku Sakakibara glanced at Amamayuki, who was quietly eating pancakes in a mug, turned around and gave the waiter a tip of $10. Then let's have another piece of nut pie. Thank you, sir. Wait a moment. What else do you need, sir? Can I go into your kitchen and take some photos later? There's nothing special. I just want to make a travel diary photo and take more local delicacies as souvenirs. Of course, there is no problem with your request, sir. I will help you ask our manager for instructions right away. Thank you. You are welcome. By the way, this Hawaiian breakfast restaurant called Cinnamon's is where Sakakibara asked a local when he set out. Although this is a small restaurant, it seems to be quite popular among locals, and some people even come from far away just to have this meal. The mug pancakes and macadamia nut syrup here are not the kind of high-end and exquisite taste, but a nostalgic local comfort. I heard the local comment just now that it fills his heart every time he recalls it. It's all a taste of nostalgia. Sakakibara took photos of these two things. After checking whether the sentences in the notes were smooth, he found that Amamayuki, who was sitting opposite, had been looking at him. She turned her back to the street full of tourists, and the sunlight shone through the glass and shone on her shoulders and beige hair. Sitting with her at such a close distance, Sakakibara Raku could smell the delicate fragrance of her body that only girls can have. In front of her were 2 clean eating utensils. Just finished eating. Yeah, I'm not full. Amamai no Yuki stared at the portion in front of Sakakibara Raku. Sakakibara understood what her little eyes wanted and pushed it over to her. There will be a nut pie for the 2 of us to eat later. In addition, we have to eat less. I don't know how much we will have to eat later. Good. The waiter quickly brought the nut pie over. While Sakakibara tipped another $5, he asked if there were any places with a lot of specialties nearby. I see that many people on the internet recommend the Alamo neighborhood. Do you have any recommendations? Do you want special food? Yes. Then I suggest that you go to the southeastern part of our Nali district first. Although the Alamo neighborhood has several famous and popular food and shopping streets, it is more international, with Indians and Japanese. There are people living there. The Nawalai area is different. It is mainly famous for its local Hawaiian dishes and traditional fish tarts. It is a good place to taste authentic Hawaiian food. Sure enough, I worked hard to find a guide online. It is better to ask someone who is familiar with the local area. I see, this is very useful to me, thank you. You are welcome. After taking Yuki Amamai to have some breakfast at Cinnamon's restaurant, Sakakibara took her on a ride without stopping to the Nali district in the southeastern part of Honolulu. Should we take a taxi or the bus? The bus. Good. The bus left the restaurant, passed to Kalakaua Avenue, walked west along Kalakaua Avenue, and past the famous International Market. There are so many ugly masks, Tianhai's Higsu said as she lay by the bus window again. Sakakibara Raku was speechless for a moment. Don't let others hear you. Continue walking west along Kalakaua Boulevard and you will reach the famous Waikiki Beach. This is the center of Hawaii tourism and one of the most prosperous and lively places in Hawaii. In front of the bus, a long and powerful team came towards them. Tianhai's Higsu was immediately attracted and looked over with even more curiosity. I saw directly in front of the bus, on the main road of Kalakaua Avenue. Several ethnic dancers wearing traditional Hawaiian costumes came forward. Ooli ooli. Women wear flower garlands on their heads and midriff-bearing tops, and exaggerated bright colors and flowers decorate their Hawaiian tropical atmosphere. Wearing beautiful flower garlands and grass skirts made of coconut leaves, they beat the drums in front of them and jumped barefoot at the front of the parade along the street. The men wore shorter coconut grass skirts, gauze tops that were almost shirtless, and wreaths of grass on their heads. Their movements were cleaner and rougher, and they clearly had a wild sense of power, but the movements of their arms and bodies were unexpectedly coordinated. In tune with the Hawaiian drum melody in the middle of the team, they walked towards each other from the front and enthusiastically slapped their skin with their palms to make a sound, allowing the audience who stopped to feel the strong South Sea Island style. Haka! Haka! The surrounding tourists and drivers on the road also gave way, holding up their mobile phones or movie viewing equipment to take photos one by one. The passengers in the bus all crowded towards Raku Sakakibara out of curiosity and poked their heads out of the window. Sakaki Hararakia quickly raised his camera to record the scene in front of him. Tianhai's Higsu was stunned when she saw so many Nigerians wearing grass skirts, and her voice became much softer. So many people, so many grass skirts, what are these? They should be celebrating something, going on a parade. Why go out on a parade? Celebrating a holiday, Raku Sakakibara wasn't sure, so he just watched while taking pictures, but the closest holiday to Hawaii right now is Julio Day in mid-April. It's indeed quite novel. Do you think it looks good, Yuki? Nice. Tianhai's Higsu didn't ask anything about it. She was just deeply shocked by the things she had never seen before and the exotic customs she had never seen before. One person had his hands on the car window, and the other person pointed the camera hard outside. Never before had such a grand and enthusiastic procession passed by. Their heads were almost balanced as they moved up and down. At this moment, they were like two country bumpkins, clinging to the car window. Can Le know how to dance? Don't think that I am so omnipotent. It would be great if I could dance. How? That way you can eat grapes hanging from your neck. Then it looks like the seeds of a tree. The parade team quickly approached, and what shocked Tianhai's Higsu even more was the oversized coconut on the huge float and the two oversized coconut trees. On top of the float, a muscular man wearing only a wreath and a loincloth was dancing the hula dance. Of course this is not a real coconut, but a prop made of modern materials. But even like this, Raku Sakakibara glanced at Amaminezuki below her, her little eyes were so straight that she almost drooled from the corner of her mouth. It's such a big coconut, can I eat it? Obviously not. Sakakibara thinks why Yuki is more greedy than Suzu. They are really good sisters and best friends. The bus continued on, crossing Kalakaua Boulevard, past Waikiki Beach, and onto Kupakapea Road. Kupakapea is a secondary street in the Nali district. It is more civilian than Kalakaua Avenue. There are more small restaurants and convenience stores here. This is Raku Sakakibara's destination for food exploration. Sakakibara searched for information online and asked locals or tourists on the roadside. Run around on this street with Tianhai's Higsu. What's that cart selling? I don't know, let's go check it out. What is that selling? I don't know, just buy it and eat it. What about that one? It's so big. I don't know. It seems like roast pig. What about this? I know this. Paea, a very common tropical fruit in Hawaii, has a delicate taste and unique aroma. It is also used in salads. Explore and take photos along this street. What Karachi snacks, pork main ingredients, Hawaiian rockle salad, shuji pancakes, kalva barbecue which is a mixture of wild boar, mutton, beef, and fish. Sakaki Hararakuta took Tenkai no snow to eat all over. That barbecue is delicious. Where's the salad? The salad tastes weird. Isn't Karachi delicious? It's the platter consisting of fried flour pancakes and various fried crispy foods. That one is delicious too. You eat so much. Although she didn't buy much per serving, Sakakibara was really worried about whether there was something wrong with her little belly. Yuki, haven't you had enough? No. Really? Sakaki Haralado looked at her little face raised under her little sunflower hat. Well, I also want to eat coconuts. Feelings are like big coconuts before we miss each other. Eating coconuts? Wait, there seems to be these things. That's right, we're all in Hawaii, how can we not eat some coconuts? It's okay if you don't look at this coconut, but you will be shocked when you look at it. Coconut pie, coconut shrimp balls, coconut rice, coconut ice cream, coconut stewed chicken, you name it. Amami no Yuki was very, very comfortable eating, and Sakaki Hararaku had to record the background culture and general production steps behind these delicacies while eating. No wonder this food exploration plan only lasts for one day. Relationships are extremely difficult. At the end of the morning, according to Sakaki Bararaku's efficiency and Amami Nazuki's small belly, I only managed to discover more than a dozen special delicacies in one morning and noon. Are you tired of having fun? Kind of. Want to go for lunch? The coconut rice just now looks delicious. Still having lunch? Wait, you can still eat it? Really edible. Speaking of which, didn't Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai hint with their eyes during the meeting this morning that they wanted to meet secretly today? Why is there no shadow? Asterisk. After the two of them walked into a stall selling coconut rice, Sakaki Harasuzu sneakily poked her head out from the other corner of the street. Rin-chan. Suzu-chan. What's wrong? Sakaki Barasuzu looked back and looked at Sakai Chitano, who was sweating profusely from exhaustion and wearing a light blue short skirt and short sleeves. Are you tired from running? Aren't you tired, Suzu-chan? Sakaki Barasuzu scratched the stone wall, frowned and glanced at the vixen sitting in the booth next to Sakaki Bararaku and Amami Yuki. I'm not tired at all. She guessed it right, the fox was following her brother. But there was only one fox at the moment, and she didn't know whether it was Kaimingyu or Julie Yulai. The two twins were slightly farther apart, and it was impossible to recognize the difference between them. Sakai Chitanoya put her hands on the wall and poked her head out from above Sakaki Harasuzu's head to look towards the right side of the street. She didn't find Amami, but she always saw Raku Sakaki Bara and Yuki Amami. Suzuki-chan. Why do you feel like the monitor is dating Yuki-chan? It's normal. It's just a disguise after all. My brother told me. The Sakaki Harasuzu looked up at Sakai Kateno's fleshy and a little weak face. Pretend? Why? Sakai Chitano asked puzzledly. This is complicated. Anyway, you know that my brother and Yuki are pretending like this just to stimulate some people. But, I don't feel like it, monitor. Sakaki Bara-san just fed Yuki-chan something to eat so intimately. Kishano Sakai looked worriedly at the two people eating coconut rice at the stall. After listening to this, Sakaki Harasuzu felt quite confident about this. She closed her eyes, raised the corners of her mouth, waved her hands, and said nonchalantly. Oh, no, don't worry. This must be because my brother found out that the fox was following him, so he made such a mistake on purpose. Is it? Of course. Otherwise, what else could it be? All right, Tiano, let's keep an eye on the fox. As long as the fox dares to show its head, we will strangle her. We will make them unable to see my brother and they will be anxious to death. Got it, got it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tio Lan. Chapter 322. The smell of the ocean, the bright sunshine, and the body swaying with the screeching sound of the sightseeing tram. Amami Yuki leaned her head on Sakaki Hararaku's shoulder and dozed off like a child. The refreshing fragrance of fresh spray comes from the slender neck. I was woken up early in the morning, and then gathered and grouped together to look for delicious food all over Oahu. Even though I like to sleep in the snow in the sky and sea, I could not help but resist the invasion of sleepiness in the afternoon. Occasionally, her light beige hair gently slid over her collarbone with the rhythm of her breathing. The aroma of the coconut she had just drank swayed gently in the air. It makes people feel itchy involuntarily. Sakakibara couldn't help but look at her. The girl who was usually innocent and simple now looked even more peaceful and beautiful, sleeping peacefully. The forehead, eyes, nose, face, and fair skin are slightly red. Tianhai's Higsyu's sleeping appearance is like the sweet wine brewed by cherry blossoms in spring, pink and intoxicating. Because she was leaning against his body, her hands covered by the sunflower straw hat, her exposed white arms, her petite snowy shoulders, and the unique beauty of the curves on the girl's chest in a dress, couldn't help but make those who saw it feel aroused again. An unbearable itching feeling in the buttocks. As if supported by the weight of her body, the gentle body temperature of her body was also conveyed into his heart. Sakakihara looked at the straps of the dress on her shoulders without hesitation, but his thoughts were already drifting into the distance amidst the sound of the sightseeing train running. Sakakihara Raku remembered the first time he accompanied Suzu on a long trip. It was a spring outing in elementary school. My father has not left yet, and my mother is still at home taking care of the housework. As brothers and sisters studying in the same class, on the way back to school, the teacher naturally arranged the two of them into the same row of seats. The tram at that time cut through the tranquility of the night like a shooting star. Sakakihara Raku still remembers that Suzu, who had been playing for a day, naturally rested on his shoulder. In the presence of the whole class, he did not hate or dislike him. He just regarded himself as his older brother and put his whole body weight on her. All nestled towards themselves. Full of trust. Higsu is probably equivalent to a ling at that time, right? Asterisk. Yuki, Yuki. Get off the car. Can we eat again? Just keep going, don't keep thinking about eating. Sakakibara put the straw hat on her skirt on her head and took her off the sightseeing train. In the afternoon, the sun became stronger, but the enthusiasm of tourists did not weaken at all. Couples in beachwear are holding each other's hands, tourists are walking around, artists playing accordion are performing on the street, and even kittens are resting and taking a nap in the shadow of the blue benches on the street, wagging their tails lazily. As soon as Sakakihara Raku stepped into the square, he felt the person behind him grabbing the corner of his clothes. What are you doing? Sakakibara turned around and saw Minazuki in a plain white dress. Hold hands, she whispered, with a hint of command on her calm face. Why, you suddenly want to hold hands? I'm afraid Ellie will get lost. Who will get lost? However, Sakakihara did not refuse and took her to the Hawaii Aquarium near Waikiki Beach. This is one of the largest marine animal exhibition halls in the world. The aquarium covers an area of over 50,000 square feet. There is also a giant transparent tank similar to a tunnel in the museum, where guests can watch the spectacular scenes of various marine creatures swimming up close. Sakakihara thought she would not have much interest in the aquarium because she had been to it once. But not at all. Minazuki's eyes under her little straw hat were always staring at the swimming fish with novelty. When a huge hammerhead shark swam from above, the tourists were exclaiming and taking pictures, and she excitedly grabbed Raku Sakakibara's hand. It feels so amazing. Well, I understand how you feel. Sakakihara Raku saw the shocking huge shark swimming over his head, and he not only muttered a reply. Tianhai's Higsu stood by the blue water tank, staring at the shark from the seaweed area at one end to the coral reef at that end. The sharks here are much bigger than the aquarium where Ellie took me last time. After all, it is the largest aquarium in the world. Sea orzes, starfish, corals, sea anemones, swimming fish, and the hammerhead shark swimming with small fish beside it embellish the colorful world in the water. It's so different here from home. This is an aquarium that collects 500 species and more than 5,000 marine creatures. Even if Yuki's home is big enough to drive a car, it will definitely not be as rich as here. Tianhai's Higsu didn't speak anymore, but when she saw these scenes, her eyes reflected everything with sparkle. At the end of the tunnel, visitors can experience starfish touching. Don't dare to touch. With permission, Sakakihara hugged the huge starfish directly. What's wrong with this? Look at me. Wait a minute, Yuki, why did you run away? Tianhai's Higsu hid far away and kept shaking his head. Not only her, but the surrounding children who were watching also ran away. And their parents laughed from the sidelines. There's nothing to be afraid of. Raku Sakakihara turned the starfish over so that the feeding port faced him. Alright. The density is indeed a bit scary. It took more than half an hour to leave the aquarium, which was not completely visited. Sakakihara took her straight to the roadside and bought the coconut ice cream she had been craving for just now. Thank you, Ellie. Why are you so polite to me? Where are you going next? Let's go to the crater and collect information nearby. Good. Asterisk. And after getting on the bus at Sakakibara Raku and Tenkai no Yuki stations, a girl, fully armed, putting away her long hair, wearing sunglasses and a hat, followed quietly. With the mantis catching the cicada and the oriole behind, Suzu Sakakihara poked her head out again. Tiano, do you hear clearly where they are going? It seems to be over there at the Diamond Head crater, Sakai Chidano replied weakly. Okay, let's keep up. I'll see how long these two foxes can wait. Wait a minute. I thought I saw Yuki-chan holding hands with Sakakibara-kun just now. Sakai Chitano looked at Sakakibara's Suzu with some worry. Is it okay? Don't worry, rest assured, we will continue to follow. Suzu Sakakihara called a taxi and then disappeared together with Chidanoya Sakai. After the girl, Sakakihara Suzu and Sakai Chidano all disappeared, another person quietly emerged from the crowd. She stared at the taxi's retreating shadow, as if thinking about something. Macadamia nut syrup, macadamia nut pie, Karachi snacks, Rockall Hawaiian salad, sugar cookies. After leaving the swimming pool, I also bought coconut ice cream. If Tianhaizu remembered correctly, he followed a few people and saw them eating no less than 20 kinds of delicacies. My sister. It's really delicious. Tianhaizu, who was wearing a sun hat and sunglasses, couldn't help but sigh at Tianhai's Higsu, who was still eating coconut rice. The plan is proceeding in an orderly manner. In order to ensure that Zyoki and Zyaju will not interrupt the holiday date between Raku Sakakibara and Yuki Amamai at an inappropriate time, Azusa Amamai follows them all the way. But it seems she doesn't need to do this. She also discovered a third-party force. Sakakihara Suzu. But why does Xiaoling appear here? And why does she seem to want to stop Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai? And Tianhaizu was looking for a taxi and thinking hard when a voice from behind suddenly called her. This voice. It's Zyoki. Tianhaizu suddenly made up his mind. But she wasn't going to respond, nor was she going to stop. He was originally following them to stop the two of them, so it wouldn't be a good thing for either of them to find out. In addition, he was now fully armed to hide his identity, so as long as he didn't respond and kept moving forward, he would be fine. And Zi. The cold voice came again. Okay, Tianhaizu understood, he was completely recognized. Tianhaizu stopped and turned around with a smile, just in time to see Tianhai Kaimingyu standing upright in front of her. Her back was to the crowd who came to play, her face was indifferent, and her sky-blue eyes stared at her in a panic. It turns out it's Xiaoqi. Why are you here? Tian Haikaiminyu closed her eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. Auntie knows why I am here, so I will ask straight to the point, why Auntie wants to stop my sister and me like this. This girl. He is still as strong and intuitive as he has been since childhood. 16 years old simply doesn't look like a 16-year-old. She probably saw it, but now was not the time to expose and tell her the old man's thoughts. My sister and Xiao still need some time to strengthen their relationship. Tianhai's smile was flawless. What are Xiaoqi talking about? Auntie, I will follow the old man's words and carry out the supervision rites. Isn't it normal? I follow Xiao to ensure that you two will not secretly run to him. Tianhai Kaimingyu, I think Aunt Zi should know that I won't come to you without preparation. Since Auntie insists on doing this, I have to ask Auntie to explain some facts. Facts? What is Xiaoqi talking about? Tianhaiza continued to act stupid, but his attention was always on Tianhai Kaimingyu's beautiful face, trying to figure out some of her intentions. It's a pity that this child usually has facial paralysis and can't see anything at all. Tianhai Kaimingyu took 2 steps forward and came to Tianhaiza. According to what Aunt Zi said just now, everything is acting according to Grandpa's will. But Auntie, it seems that she hasn't listened to Grandpa so much since she was a child, right? Haha, Xiaoqi, you don't know, the old man has given me generous conditions. As long as I help him, he will not care about me in the future. Under this condition, I will naturally help if I can. He also used the position of teacher to tie me down, which is not reasonable, right? Help Grandpa. Tianhai Chi Minjia protracted her voice, as if there was a hint of doubt. This girl is really difficult to deal with. Give her a few clues and she'll figure it out in a few days. Tianhaiza thought to himself. She continued to reply with no flaws on her face, of course, these guys are helping him supervise you two sisters not to have contact. Otherwise, what else could it be? Auntie, I never said that this is not the problem. What is Auntie busy explaining? White teeth. I was almost fooled by Xiaoqi's cliché. If I had known that I would only see Amamai when I went out, I shouldn't have paid attention to Sakakibara's Suzu. This would have been better. As someone who was tailing after me, I was actually being followed by Xiaoqi. It would be embarrassing to speak out. Xiaoqi, what can I say? No matter what, it is my aunt who wants to block your relationship. Facing you, I will feel sorry for myself. Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't reply, as if she was trying to find out what Tianhaiza was thinking. Tianhaiza knew that he couldn't continue, so he quickly changed the subject and said, Xiaoqi is the one, let Xiaoju take the responsibility of diverting attention, and you will come over to meet me yourself? Have you discussed it? Aren't you quarreling? Hearing this, Tianhai Kaimingyu's tone was not very kind, as if she was resentful. It's just a temporary cooperation with my sister. No no no. Tianhaiza said quickly, this is unfair to Xiaoqi. What if Xiaoju and Xiao Le meet? Xiaoju will definitely cry to Xiao Le and tell her how much she misses him recently. You have to think about what a Le is. You are such a person, can you see Xiaoju being so sad? When the time comes, he will turn to Xiaoju because of this, and Xiaoqi will be slowly forgotten because he has not seen him for a long time. I know Xiaoqi that you have been feeling particularly uncomfortable recently. Not only have you lost your grandfather's support, but also because of your relationship with your sister, you can't talk to anyone and have no one to communicate with. Ali's private response to you is also slowly decreasing. Even indifference is not as good as the snow he carries around him. Xiaoqi, is it really worth it for you to persist for so many years? What exactly does Aunt want to say? What I want to say is, it's been so long, Xiaoqi, are you tired? Tired? Even if Auntie doesn't know me, please don't make such a joke. If I were tired, I wouldn't be standing here, and I wouldn't be busy with so many things. Tian Haikaimingu frowned and raised her tone involuntarily, but her words were still clean and crisp. Then she shook her head. It's just that I found that being busy with family affairs is completely useless to someone at this stage. This thing can only I put pressure on my sister, but I can't make him change his mind. To resolve the conflict, I have to have a face-to-face conversation with him. This is why I want to chat with him. Got around. It seems that Xiaoqi really cares about Xiao Li. Tianhaize breathed a sigh of relief and continued. Xiaoqi, you can't resolve the conflict by talking face-to-face with Le at this stage, right? If you want to win now, apart from asking Le to let go of everything and elope with you, the only way is to defeat Xiaoju. Although Xiaoju is now she is still slightly inferior to you, but as long as she is willing to learn and rely on her family connections, she will definitely not be easily defeated by you. The old man knows all the big things you do at home and win over people, but even so, you can't. I didn't really defeat Xiaoju. Now that grandpa knows about my sister and I, he has taken over the things we were busy with during this period. That's right, Xiaoqi, except for your own 3-acre foundation, you have absolutely no way to put pressure on your sister. And will you really kill Xiaoju? You won't. If you don't plan to push Xiaoju into a dead end, and still allow yourself and her to have a glimmer of hope for reconciliation, in this case, you will never be able to break away from this relationship. Tian Haikaimingu stared at Tianhaize's smile for a second, and asked in a solemn voice. Auntie is trying to persuade me to reconcile with my sister. Right. My aunt knew that this was impossible, and my sister didn't tell me whether she agreed or disagreed. Her attitude towards me and those things were clearly marked with the word impossible. Tianhaize, you two sisters are twins. It's not like you can't understand each other's feelings. You all understand why you do this. In the past, we didn't share half of everything in my mother's belly. Why can't my husband share it? Auntie, are you willing to share? Me? I want to have a twin sister like you, why can't I? How great would it be if we all live happily and harmoniously together? I love her, she loves him, he loves me and she loves her, and we can sleep together in each other's arms. Happiness. When Tian Haikaimingu heard this, she crossed her arms and closed her eyes. Okay, Tianhaize smiled, knowing that she couldn't accept this. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's change the topic. Auntie, is there anything else you want to say? Also, has Auntie not answered the question I just asked? Snapped. Tianhaize snapped his fingers, threw a single-eyed wink at Tian Haikaimingu, and said with a smile. Sure enough, I can't hide this from you, Xiaoqi, after all the detours. But as a sister, I actually don't want to tell you this, but who makes me your aunt again? Tian Haikaimingu, that's what my aunt said. Tianhaize asked, have you noticed that Xiao and Yuki have been very close recently? That's just my brother's clumsy provocation method. I admit it's effective, but my sister and I can both see it. This actually shows that Xiao is smart. Doesn't this thing just have an effect? Tian Haikaimingu was non-committal and asked, what's wrong with this thing? What's the problem? Tianhaize talked eloquently, you have been far away from Xiao recently, so I can't see it clearly. But from my perspective, the relationship between Yuki and Xiao is growing day by day. So what if it accumulates over time? It's impossible for two people to do it. Tianhaize nodded approvingly, indeed, it's impossible, but Xiaoqi, have you ever thought that if this continues, Xiao's heart will be torn apart because of the distance between you and your quarrel? Into 3 pieces? You have 1 piece, Xiaoju has 1 piece, and Zhixu has 1 piece. The difference is that Zhixu's piece is more than you and Xiaoju combined. Tian Haikaimingu remained silent and stared at Tianhaize. You and Xiaoju quarreled with each other, and he was also at fault. But this does not hinder the fact that he has distanced himself from you, and at this time, Yuki came forward to contact him again. You said that with Yuki and Xiao character, what will happen to them? Tianhaiza smiled again. I won't say anything else, but what I can tell you is that Yuki does like Xiao. Auntie is saying. That's right, Tianhaiza nodded. As long as the two of them continue to be in contact, Yuki's character is too straightforward, and things will happen sooner or later between the two of them. By then, it will be too late for you and Xiaju to have any feelings. These are all force majeure accidents caused by a quarrel. I want to talk to my brother. Hey, this won't work. Tianhaiza stretched out his hand to stop Tianhai Chi Minjiao. Xiao Qi, don't forget about my current responsibilities. Tianhai Kaimingyu took a closer look at her sunglasses, which made her look particularly youthful, and understood what she meant. What does Aunt want? Promise me a condition. I haven't thought about this condition yet. No problem. Agree so easily. It's that simple. After hearing what Xiao Qi said, Tianhaizi had no choice but to let go of her and watch her chase towards the crater. The smile in her heart reappeared on her face, and she helplessly spread her hands and said, "It's such a headache to help you guys sort out their relationship. It's still messy if you keep cutting and sorting it out. But when Xiao Qi and Xiaoju find Xiao Li, Xiao Qi and Xiaoju will definitely quarrel, and Xiao Li is afraid that he will deliberately use Yuki to stimulate the two of them. Come on, as long as Xiao does this, Yuki will follow my instructions and follow the trend. Is it difficult to agree to Yuki's feelings in the future? Interesting, really interesting." Tianhaiza withdrew his hand and touched his chin. Should I go to the crater to watch a show now, or should I go home and have a feast with the monk? It's a bit confusing. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 323. Diamond Head Crater is a volcano that can be understood as a very large basin. Enter the interior through the tunnel, and then lead from the interior to the shore near the sea. The bus stopped at the station, which was filled with tourists taking photos. Then everyone started climbing up the stairs on the edge of the volcano, a total of more than 40 minutes of walking. The temperature at the moment is 27 degrees, which is very hot under the direct sunlight. Sakakibara Raku and Tenkai Yuki had already climbed halfway up the mountain. The tourists who set off at the same time as the two of them were either left behind, or were leaning on trekking poles, bent over and panting. Call. The sea breeze, mixed with the delayed sound of waves in the distance, came threateningly. The girl stopped and looked back, only to see the blue ocean connecting with the blue sky, the waves and white flowers lapping the strait, and seagulls flying between the horizon and the white clouds. The sea breeze blowing in the face made the leaves of the shrubs on the entire ridge rustle. So cool. The snow in the sky and sea stands quietly, facing the blue sea. Looking at her from behind, the girl in the sunflower straw hat opened her arms and faced the sea. Whether it was her long flowing hair or the swaying hem of her white dress, she looked light and beautiful. The summer wind blew between the two of them, bringing with it the vague aroma of coconut on her body. Yuki looks really happy. This is her first time here, her first time seeing such a vast world, right? Sakakihara looked at her petite back and smiled. He glanced at the phone screen that was darkened in the sun and found that the two of them had been walking for more than 20 minutes. He walked to Tianhai's Higsu, looked at her profile and asked. "It's cool. Are you tired from walking?" "No. You've been walking for more than 20 minutes. Are you still not tired?" "Not tired. I also said that when you are tired, I will carry you up." Sakakihara put the phone back, then continued to the top of the mountain. The scenery at the top of the mountain is much more beautiful than the scenery halfway up the mountain. However, Tianhai's Higsu had no intention of leaving. She put her hands behind her hands, raised her chin, and turned her expressionless face towards his. How? Tired? Weren't you still tired just now? Tired now? Sakakihara laughed. If you want me to carry it, just ask. I want to be happy. Amami no Yuki took 2 steps closer, her beautiful eyes reflected the shrunken Sakakibara Raku. She actually said it out loud. Although Sakakihara Raku is already familiar with Yuki's character. But every time she said these words to him so straightforwardly, he would always have the urge to agree to her. Knowing that she could still walk, knowing that she just said she wasn't tired. Then I'll carry you for a while. Good. Sakakibara squatted down in front of her, and Amami no Yuki put her body on his back without hesitation, holding his neck tightly with both hands. The close contact at this moment was reassuring and comfortable for her. But something went wrong. Sakakibara squatted for a long time and felt that her posture was wrong. Yuki, come over here. Don't know. When someone is carrying me, I don't just have to hang my neck with my hands. You have to hold my waist. I don't understand this. Why don't you understand being carried on someone's back? Not carried. Sakakihara Raku fell silent for a moment. Your father didn't turn his back on you. No. Where's my brother? Neither does my brother. Where's sister Zi? Neither does sister Zi. You didn't forget, did you? Tianhai's Higsia shook her head behind him. Maybe Yuki herself forgot. Her memory was not very good. But even if you think so, combined with Yuki's situation at home since she was a child, what she just said is not impossible. Sakakihara waited until she readjusted, then stood up with her on his back. So light. What's so light? I feel so light. Of course, your weight is all on me. Tianhai's Higsia reached out and hugged his neck. The skin is close to the skin, and Sakakibara can clearly feel the itching on her neck, as well as her comfortable skin that is as warm as jade. Normally, Raku Sakakibara might be happy about this kind of close contact with a girl. But now that Yuki has been regarded as a ling, the only thing left is her happiness that she is willing to get close to him. Lee's skin is so hot. I didn't tell you that your hands are hot too. Happy? What? Amami no Yuki stuck out her head like a cat on Sakakibara Raku's right shoulder and whispered in his ear. Sit down now. You're quite light after eating so much. So you can carry me for a little longer. Tianhai's Higsia pressed the flesh of her cheek against the flesh of his neck. I didn't agree. Sakakihara was a little itchy by her closeness. Leike was the first person to carry me on his back. Don't think that I can take more care of you by saying this. Leave it to Le the first time. The topic is twisted. Set off. You don't need to tell me. Raku Sakakibara continued to head up the mountain with Yuki Amami, who seemed particularly happy. After the two of them stepped up a dozen stairs and walked a little further, Tianhai Yuli took off his sunglasses with a very unhappy expression behind them. She saw the entire process of the two talking and communicating just now. There is an indescribable taste in my heart. It's like being so stuck that you feel uncomfortable and have no place to express your feelings. Lejun and Yuki seem very close. Even though everyone knew that Lejun was deliberately using Yuki to stimulate himself and Kyo, they still felt uncomfortable after seeing it. The stab wound on his abdomen also seemed to be aching. What should I do? What Amami Kuruori was thinking about was his relationship with Sakakibara Raku since he came to this home. As the older brother, he takes care of his family and himself meticulously. As the older brother, he does everything without complaining. Even when he did that to him, he still chose to let go of his prejudice against himself and choose to forgive himself. Tianhai Yuli thought about the sweetness of dating, falling in love, and dating after she reconciled with him. The feeling of being able to completely trust the other person, believe in the other person, and love the other person wholeheartedly, Tianhaijuli Yulai has always considered it to be the most cherished thing in her life. I don't want Lejun to leave, I don't want Lejun to trust me. I also want to go to school together, run together, and play games together. You can experience these things with someone who knows you completely, someone who understands you, someone who shares your interests. I don't want to let go at all. Even after going through the hospital and stabbing himself as retribution, he still didn't want to let go. Tianhaijuli Yulai knew that the relationship with Lejun had faded a lot these days. On the one hand, it's because I don't know what attitude to take when meeting him, and on the other hand, it's because I need to transfer the conflict to Tianhaikimingyu. The last aspect is also the most important factor. I haven't spoken to Lejun for too long. If I don't try my best to transfer the emotions of that day, I really don't know who I should trust in the future, and how I will spend my future life. If he didn't do that, he would either choose to crash to death, or simply return to his mother and let her continue to use him. There is so much to say about these emotions. Tianhaijuli Yulai took several deep breaths, trying to calm down his mood that was no longer so calm in recent days. She looked at Raku Sakakibara, who was carrying Amamine Wayuki. I understand why I feel uncomfortable at the moment, I am jealous. Thinking about it carefully, Lejun seems to have not turned his back on me, right? Back in July, Aling carried it on her back. Even Yuki has carried it on his back. Only, he didn't turn his back on himself. Tianhaijuli Yulai's mood, which she had tried to soothe a lot, became a lot more depressed at this moment. She wanted to quickly take a step to catch up, but was interrupted by a hand in front of her. Wait, Sakaki Harasuzu appeared in front of her panting. Sakai Kateno followed behind her. Bell. Tianhaijuli didn't expect that Sakaki Harasuzu would appear here at this time. You guys, really can climb a ladder and climb a mountain so fast. I'm so tired, so tired. Sakaki Harasuzu bent down dripping with sweat, rested for a moment, and finally straightened up reluctantly, stretched out her palm to Tianhaijuli, and made a righteous expression. You are not allowed to see my brother. Tianhaijuli didn't want to hear so much, so she wanted to leave by bypassing Sakaki Harasuzu. Alas! What are you doing? Sakaki Harasuzu hurriedly chased after her and came back in front of her with her hand to block her. If you say you are not allowed to leave, you are not allowed to leave. Sister Yulai, have you forgotten what your uncle told you? Do you still want to persist? Go up, I have the right to report the truth to uncle. Of course I know Tianhaijuli Yulai was very anxious, but if you want to tell dad today, just go ahead and say it. I have to go talk to Lejun now. Tianhaiju really insisted on leaving, but Sakaki Harasuzu insisted on stopping him. The three of them went back and forth for several rounds, and Amamai Jurulai understood Sakaki Harasuzu's attitude. She had to block his way. Ling, let me go see Lejun. I want to have a few words with him and ask him about some things. Asking about something? Just ask me. There is no need to go to my brother. Why are you blocking me? Sister Yulai, don't you know why I'm blocking you? Tianhaijuli Yulai closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and calmed down. Even if dad asks you to do this, you don't have to completely follow what dad said, right? That's true, but it's obvious. Now I don't want to get out of the way. I have to talk to Lejun. It's not that Sakaki Harasuzu doesn't understand Ruri's mood. On the contrary, it is a very special understanding. Because in a sense, Yulai is also a person very similar to herself. It's because of my identity. It was because of various entanglements she had with her sister. And Yulai is actually much more powerful than herself, she can resolutely stab herself with a fruit knife in that situation. To be honest, Sakaki Harasuzu didn't expect Jurili's determination in dealing with this relationship. I know you want to see my brother, because we have been separated for so many days. It is normal to want to see him, but Sister Leuli can think about it. Uncle knew that you would be like this, and you should also endure your current mood. And then gradually forget about this relationship. Forget. Tianhai Juliuli's expression suddenly faded, and she couldn't help but ask, Ling, why do you think I will forget these things? Can Ling forget her relationship with Lejun so easily? Sakaki Harasuzu understood the change in her expression, but she still refused to give in. You and my brother have only known each other for a year. Uncomfortable. Tianhai Juliuli was very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to not be understood and have your own feelings stigmatized. Sure enough, even Suzuchan can't understand herself. Sure enough, only Lejun could understand his thoughts. He understands why he does what he does, and he understands what he needs. She took the initiative to lower her voice in front of Sakaki Harasuzu, became very deep, and spoke very clearly. I don't deny that Lejun and I have only known each other for a year, and I don't deny that I was wrong about him at the beginning. But I completely disagree with what you said, Ling, and you shouldn't disdain my thoughts, my actions so easily. So what? Ling, do you understand? Do you understand that feeling? Do you understand the feeling of being secretly photographed when you go out, being questioned by countless people on the phone, and having your life spied on even if you are under house arrest? Leuli, something seems to be wrong. But it's not that Sakaki Harasuzu didn't understand what she said. Why don't you understand? I understand that when you were a child, you met disgusting people because of your aunt's retirement from the entertainment industry, but why didn't I meet them when I was a child? When my father ran away, loan sharks would knock on the door every day. Not only were my sleep disturbed every night and paint was thrown on the door, but even at school I was pointed out by my classmates that they were a fatherless family. Tianhai Juliuli smiled softly and said, then who is responsible for these things for you, Ling? Is it yourself? Sakaki Harasuzu was stunned for a moment. Ling, when you are sad, you can hide in your brother's arms. When you are bullied, you can have your brother to stand up for you. When you are unhappy, you can still have your brother to comfort you. Even for dinner, your brother will take the best food from her bowl. Come give it to you. And what about Kiyo and I? We haven't had this kind of thing since we were young. We have to bear everything on our own. My mother only comes back every few months. My father is suppressed by the family and has no time to take care of Kiyo and me, and he has no money. Employed to take care of the two of us, who can Kiyo and I turn to for help in the face of those people who think that our mother has always been in our residence? Who can I turn to as a sister? Tianhai Juliuli, Kiyo and I can only endure this. We have to learn those tedious things every day, and we have to learn the piano and violin that our mother arranged for us every day. Kiyo and I learn out of our true hearts. Is this it? No, not at all. We were just forced to have goals by our parents and people in the family, and we were forced to follow their standards and become a wealthy lady with strict rules and regulations. July and I have always lacked a complete family and a normal growing environment. During that time, Chi-Chi and I didn't know what the so-called happiness was. Our lives were just mechanical repetition, 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 and repetition. We had no idea what the meaning of doing this was. I understand now that July and I have always lacked goals and things of our own. I am better than July, so my mother chose to ignore her and take more care of me. But later, July found her own goal before me. Ling, do you understand how longing I am to see the back of Kiyo, who decided to cross half of Japan to go to Shikoku Island despite all odds? Do you understand that this is something I have been pursuing for more than 10 years? And now I have found it? I found it after Lejun still chose to forgive me even after being hurt by me. For me, the weight of this feeling is no less than your feelings for Lejun. Not even a cent. That's why I fight against all odds with July, who I have lived with since childhood. This is my persistence, my pursuit in life. So, please get out of my way now. There are some things I must do now. Ask clearly. Sakakihara Suzu didn't know how to reply to Julie. Every word she spoke was as painful as burrowing into her own heart. If she didn't have her brother and his protection for more than 10 years, could she insist on finding the goal of living like her? Julie was right. Her mood was indeed very heavy, and it was completely acceptable. Are Suzu-chan and the deputy squad leader okay? As an ordinary outsider, Kateno Sakai did not dare to interfere in any of the words between the two of them. In the end, Sakakihara Suzu thought for a long time and still raised her head. Don't give in. That's right, Juliuli's feelings are no weaker than her own. But I have no reason to get out of the way. I no longer know how painful it is to live with the heavy feelings between the two sisters. Without them, Sakakihara Suzu believes that she and her brother would be happier than they are now. She felt that she should insist on letting Chi Minjio and Julie give up their relationship. Amami Kuruori is not angry either. Even though the emotions in her heart are surging, she knows and understands that she and Sakakihara Suzu just have different positions. I see. She decided to force her way through.